right, today's date is Monday, October 23rd, 2017. Time is about 8:41 a.m. My name is Rich Lewis. I'm a detective with the Albuquerque Police Department. Why don't we go start around to my right, and we'll just have everybody introduce themselves for the recording.
My name is Detective Joshua Brown with AP Homicide.
I'm Deputy District Attorney Greer Rose with the 2nd Judicial District.
I'm Deputy District Attorney James Grayson with the 2nd.
I'm Victoria Martens, paralegal with the 2nd.
Tom Clark, Fabian Gonzales' lawyer.
And could you introduce yourself for the tape, please?
Oh yeah, Fabian Gonzales,
And Fabian, what's your date of birth?
1984.
Okay. I know that you've had a chance to speak with Mr. Clark, but I'm going to go ahead and advise you of your Miranda rights. If you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And then we'll kind of talk about what's going to go on this morning, okay? Okay, so this time you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court, but you do have the Castigar letter that Mr. Clark has explained to you. So there is this really doesn't apply at this point, but we're still going to advise you. You have the right to talk to your lawyer, who's here, for advice before we ask you any questions, and to have your lawyer present while we ask you questions. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one will be appointed at no cost to you before we ask you any questions, if that is your desire. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering my questions anytime to talk to a lawyer. And a lot of this doesn't apply because you do have a lawyer here and you have an agreement, okay? And I know that your attorney has talked to you about that agreement, okay? But we've kind of decided to go ahead and read you your rights today. Do you have any questions about the rights or the letter that you have with it?
I wonder why. Is there a reason why I'm being read my Miranda rights right now?
It's just standard procedure. You're definitely in custody, and I'm going to interrogate you.
And just for the record, Fabian, we, just so the record's very clear, this is Tom Clark. We spent the last hour or so going over the Castigar letter that's been executed by all parties. Do you have that? The Castigar letter is dated October 18, 2017. It's a 3-page document including 8 numbered paragraphs on the second page. First page is 4 paragraphs, dated October 18th. It's addressed to me, signed by Ms. Rose on the second page, and then on the third page, dated today's date, which is 10/23/17, Fabian Gonzales, and then I signed below on my signature line. The intent of this meeting is to debrief Mr. Gonzales pursuant to the terms and paragraphs pursuant to the terms of the Castigar letter that was just referenced and is made a part of this debriefing by reference. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay. Do you understand all that, Mr. Gonzales?
Yes.
Okay. If you would, please, if you understand these rights, if you will sign here, what you're signing for is you understand these rights, but you understand the agreement you have with the state at this point on this Castigar letter. Do you understand all that?
So the Castigar is that?
Essentially, it's going to override these. Okay. We can't use, if we don't come to an agreement with you, and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, if we don't come to agree with you, I can't use what you're telling me today against you in court. I cannot use this statement.
And that's correct. That's the Fabian, that nothing you say today, if the state doesn't reach an agreement with you, if this falls apart, if they don't use your testimony, then everything you say today is covered by the Castigar letter, and it can't be used against you, and we just start back from scratch. You understand that?
Do you want us to step out and have a moment with your attorney to discuss this? I don't want you to force you anything. If you're not comfortable, let us know, and you can talk to your attorney about this.
Kind of just seems like I don't want to be charged new counts with this Miranda things.
With new counts?
Yeah, like some, like maybe like.
I'm confused.
Is that second?
Yep, okay. It is 8:45. We're going to go ahead and pause the recorders. Okay, it's the same people in the room, and we're back on the record. It's 8:48 a.m.
Rich, I'd ask that this advisement of rights be dated.
Okay.
If you don't mind, we'll put the date of the signature underneath.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is 2317.
Okay.
All right. And so, just for the record, the advisory rights sheet has been executed. It's dated today's date, and again with the protection of the Castigar letter. Mr. Gonzales asked to speak with me to clarify how this is affected by the Castigar letter. I explained it to him, and so he's ready to proceed.
Okay, and this is the last part, is the waiver where you actually have the date and time down here. So at this point, if you understand all your rights and the Castigar, are you willing to speak with me now and answer questions now? And this really doesn't apply because it's like you don't have an attorney with you, and we have all that, but this is just a standard form. We don't really have a Castigar advice of rights form. It just doesn't exist, okay? So if you sign here, and so we're going to continue and willing to speak with me at this time.
If you would just redact it and strike the part I do not want a lawyer at this time.
I'll take that out. Anything else you would like removed?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
That's fine. So go ahead and sign it there.
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk for a little bit. We'll start out with like a lot of background information and stuff like that. Just so we understand each other is, I expect you to tell me the complete truth.
Mm-hmm.
Not to add anything because you think that's what I am, what I want. Don't hold anything back. I'm sure Mr. Clark's told you we're going to ask you a lot of questions that we know the answer to.
Yeah.
If you're being untruthful, we can't work with you. You have to be completely truthful with us. I'm sure Mr. Clark has told you that.
Mm-hmm.
If we feel that you're heading down the wrong road, we're going to call you on it, okay?
That's fine.
Don't, because you think I want an answer. If you don't know, you don't know. That's a perfectly fine answer.
Don't say something I think you want to hear.
Exactly. Just tell me what you saw, what you heard, what you did, and then we'll work through it. If you don't remember, you don't remember. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. Those are perfectly fine answers.
Okay.
Okay. If you hold something back because you think it may hurt somebody else, or that's being an omission is a lie. Does that make sense? So if you hold something back and you know something had happened or something like that, but you hold it back,
But it'll come out eventually.
it's going to come out.
Exactly.
And that's essentially, an omission is a lie. Whether if you hold it back, it's going to be considered a lie. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And Fabian, just so the recording is always clear, wait for Detective Lewis to ask the question, and then you've got to give a verbal answer, not a grunt, whatever. It's give a verbal answer so there's no question about what Detective Lewis's question is and what your answer is. And so wait for him to stop talking, think about the question, and then give an honest answer.
Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If you don't understand what I'm asking you, just tell me. We don't want any confusion in here. If there's something that you need to talk to Mr. Clark about and you want us to step out, we'll step out. We have no problems, okay? Okay, any questions before we begin?
No.
Okay. Why don't we just start? We're going to kind of work through. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about your family. Who's your mother?
Nikki Alonzo.
Okay. I'm sorry, what's her last name?
Nikki Alonzo.
How do you spell Alonzo?
Alonzo. Alonzo.
Okay. Is she still alive?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where does she live?
In South Carolina.
Okay, and your father, is he still alive?
Yes. Steve
What-
Gonzales.
Steve Gonzales?
Yes.
Is he senior?
Yes.
Okay. And then tell me about your family. How many brothers do you have?
I have 3.
Okay, can you tell me their names?
Adrian, Joseph, and Stevie.
Okay, are they all still alive?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any sisters?
No, sir.
Okay. There's one person that kind of pops up in this thing, and I think I know the relationship. Somebody you call Uncle David.
Yes.
Okay.
David Chavez.
Is he truly a biological family member, or is it just kind of a...
He is. He's my mom's sister, Patty. Patricia Barella. That's my mom's sister, he's the father to David Chavez.
Okay. So there is a
My
family...
cousin, yes.
There is a biological family
Yes.
connection. Okay. Tell me about growing up. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the South Valley.
Okay. Here in Albuquerque?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did you live there most of your life?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you ever live in any other cities around Albuquerque or just...
Like during my childhood?
Yeah,
I mean,
growing up.
no, just Albuquerque.
Okay. Where'd you go to school?
I went to Barcelona,
Okay.
and then I went to Harrison, and then I went to a little bit to John Adams,
Okay.
and then dropped out of there.
Okay. Did you ever finish your high school education?
No, sir.
Okay. What's your highest level of education you've completed?
7th grade.
7th grade?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you got your GD or are you working on that at all?
No, I just,
Okay.
Fabian, let him finish the question. Don't anticipate what he's saying.
Okay. Have you taken anything, any medications or any alcohol that where you don't understand what's going on today, or that you feel that you can't understand what I'm asking you at this point?
no,
Okay. So there's nothing, are you feeling ill or sick or
No.
anything to where you can't answer my questions?
no, sir.
Okay, you're feeling all right?
Hmm?
Okay. Would you normally stay, when you were growing up, was it one residence or did you kind of bounce around? Walk me through that a little bit.
Well, I stayed at my grandma's mostly,
Okay.
and then my mom's, so it'd be back and forth.
Okay, who's your grandmother?
Lois Barala?
Okay, is she still alive?
No, she passed away
She passed
February 14, 2007.
Okay. Where would you mainly live when you were growing up? Do you remember the address?
3206 Viola Southwest.
I'm 3206, what was this?
Viola Southwest.
Viola? Okay.
Barcelona and Viola.
And was that your grandmother's residence?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through, let's talk about the people involved in this. And let's just kind of talk about them, how you know people and stuff like that. So let's just start with Jessica Kelly. Okay? Tell me about what your relationship is with her. How are you related to Jessica Kelly?
She's a cousin. She's my mom's brother, James Kelly.
Okay.
That's the daughter to him.
Okay. So that's the connection, is
Yeah, my mom's brother, yeah.
your mom's brother.
Yes. My grandma's son, James
Okay.
Kelly.
And is James still alive?
No, he's not.
He's passed away.
Yes, sir.
So Jessica was James' biological daughter.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me, how did you grow up with her? Were you around her? Did you see her often? Talk to me about that.
I mean, she was sometimes, some of the summers she would come some summers, but then she would stay with her mom, Lori Collins.
Okay.
And then just back and forth
Okay. Did she grow up in the Albuquerque area or was she out of state?
in Albuquerque.
Okay. Did you go to school with her or anything like that?
No, I never went to school with her.
Okay. So it's mostly just she's in the same city?
Same city, and she would go, yeah, over there for the summers, and
Okay.
I didn't go to school with her, no.
Okay. How much
She didn't
contact?
go, I know she didn't go to Barcelona, and I know she didn't go to Harrison. I'm trying to, no.
So mostly you mentioned summers. In the summers you would all
Yeah.
get together?
Mhm.
Okay. Was she close with your whole family, your brothers and you?
Not really, because my brothers weren't there, you know what I mean? It was just me with my grandma, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Who raised your brothers?
My mom.
Okay. So pretty much your grandmother's the one that raised you?
Yeah, my grandma, my mom, and my mom, but no, my dad never. So.
Okay. Tell me about your past history with her. Have you ever been in fights with her before when you were little kids? With Jessica?
No,
Stuff like that. How was your relationship with her?
it was
How'd you get along?
it was like it was good.
Okay.
It was a typical kid, you know what I mean? Grandmother relationship with the cousins, going in summer, having nice summers, you know.
Okay.
It was really
So
never.
nothing really stood out?
No,
Okay. Tell me about her. Was she working when you guys were growing up? Did she have jobs when she was? Do you remember where she worked?
I don't think she was. As a kid, no, I don't think she worked.
Okay.
And then if she did, she didn't let me know.
Do you know where she went to school or anything?
I don't remember that.
Okay. How about you? Tell me about your employment history. Were you working?
My employment history after I left John Adams and stuff, I did flooring,
Okay.
and then I did plumbing, painting.
Okay. Were you employed at the time that this incident occurred?
No, I was supposed to start working on my brother's TV, but I never got around to it. Never got to get around to it.
Okay. Were you receiving any benefits from the state or the federal government?
I was, I don't know if my SNAP, the food
Okay.
stamps.
Okay.
I think I was receiving that, but that was it. And it might have expired
Okay.
at the time this incident happened. But
Any
I don't-
SSI or anything like that?
No, no.
Okay. Did you have an EBT card at the time?
No, I didn't have an EBT card. They put when we went to the EBT office, I tried to get my own, and they did something at the office where they put me on Tasha's card.
Okay.
Tasha Miller, I'm pretty sure you're aware of her.
And that's your.
That was
ex?
my no, that was yeah, that was my.
Okay. Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I have 4.
Okay. Who's raising them now?
Their moms.
Okay.
I
How many? Kind of walk me through, from youngest to oldest. Kind of walk me through who's the mother and where they are now.
Well, now there's There's Jacob.
How old's Jacob?
I think he's maybe like 14, 15.
Okay.
Maybe now. I'm not
And
sure.
who's Jacob's mother?
April Bolton.
Okay. Are they still in the Opry area?
I believe so. I think so. I mean, I haven't talked to her in a while. It's been a while, so I don't know, but I believe so. I think
Okay. And what child is next?
so. There's Gabriel, and then there's
And Gabriel?
yeah.
How old's Gabriel?
He's probably like maybe a year or two younger than
Okay.
Jacob.
And who's his mother?
Gabrielle Adams.
Gabrielle Adams?
Yeah.
Okay. Are they in the Opry area?
No, I think she's in California
Okay.
now, and but her mom, the grandparents are in Pecos, I think still.
Okay. What child's next?
And then there's what child's next? Annalena,
Okay.
and
Who's
then
An-
there's
how old's Annalena?
Evelyn. Annalena's like, let's say 10. I want to say 10.
Okay.
No.
Who's Annalena's mother?
Tasha Sanchez.
Tasha?
Yes.
Okay. And the last child?
Evelyn Rose Gonzales.
Okay. And who's?
Amanda Sullivan.
Okay. Amanda's the mother?
Yes.
Are they here?
Yeah, I believe in Belen.
Okay, Blinn. Okay. That's all your children?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, there's a Desiree says there's this one girl Desiree, I think Sandoval,
Okay.
and this was I think before all my other kids, but I never thought that was my kid, so because we never had got a DNA test on that or nothing like that, and she was like I didn't think it was mine, and so
Okay.
I just never
Okay.
considered. But to this day, she still says that she is. So if they want to count that one, then that's fine.
Okay.
But I never counted that one, and I'm not being mean or nothing. I never was mean to her or nothing like that. But I just never thought that she looked like me, or was. And they never wanted to get a DNA test, so I didn't. So I just left it as that.
Okay. All right. So back to Jessica. It sounded like you had a decent relationship with her growing up. See her on summers. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have issues with her while you were growing up? Anything, fights or anything like that? Any issues?
No,
Okay.
just the only issues that she had was with her mom, and
Okay.
really, and then she would go to my grandma's and with her dad, because my uncle, her dad stayed with my grandma too,
Okay.
most of his life.
That's James?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about, was she working at the time this incident happened? After she was released from prison, did she have any type of job?
No, she said she wanted to find a job, and I believe she went to an interview to churches, and I think Michelle went with her.
Okay. So you
She
didn't
was
know her
supposed to
anything?
be working,
Okay.
but I didn't know what day or.
And that's
What
Jessica
time?
was supposed to be working?
Yeah,
So it sounded like she did get a job at churches?
yeah, and I guess that's her friend Cherie was the one, because I guess she was manager at the time at the churches, right there off of Louisiana, I think,
Okay.
in the corner, and that's who got her the job.
Okay. Do you know her past employment was, what she would do, Jessica?
I'm trying to think. Oh, her past. There's another place she did work. It was this hotel chain, or I know it was by the Burger King. I forgot what it was called, but and then I remember hearing something that she had gotten fired for there because they found her. She stole some information from somebody from the hotel place, I guess, pills and I don't know.
Was that before she went to prison?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
before she went to prison, and then from knowing her mom and them and her brother Thomas and stuff, they let me know that she had ended up getting in trouble being around this guy named Rick, where she wasn't supposed to be around, and she was on an ankle bracelet, and I guess her PI or PO went over there and found them together, and they found her, I guess, with drugs and the guy she wasn't supposed to be around, so that's what she went to prison for.
Okay. Okay.
I believe that's what they told me. I mean, that's
Okay. So when she was released in August of last year, August of 2016, how did you guys hook up? How did you make contact with each other?
oh, this before this incident, she Facebooked me.
Okay. Tell me what that means, Facebooked you.
She just messaged me and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" You know, this and that. And then she asked me if I can get her some drugs,
Okay.
and I told her I'll see. I'll see, but I don't know. I really don't know no one. You know what I mean? That can get it. I mean, but I never ended up getting it for her.
What kind of drugs is she looking for?
She was looking for meth.
Do you want meth?
Yeah, she said she wanted to sell it or something.
Okay. How long after she was released and contacted you did she start asking you to help her find drugs?
I don't know, because when she contacted me, she said she was just like a day or two out of prison, and I was like, like, that's I was like, really? So,
Did you know she was about to be released? Or?
no, I didn't know she was about to read. I didn't know nothing. I just knew that her sister Crystal was about to get released,
Okay.
but I never knew Jessica was going to get released, or I thought she was going to be in there for a while. I didn't.
Okay. Okay. Your Facebook, do you remember what name you were using on that Facebook?
On my Facebook? Yeah.
What the account was, what you called it?
On my Facebook?
Your Facebook account?
F. Gonzales?
F. Gonzales?
Yeah.
Okay.
F. Gonzales.
Just the letter F. Gonzales?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Fabo?
Fabo, F-A-B-O?
Yes.
Okay.
And the POF was the F. Gonzales 84. The username and the password was 123456, capital F, lowercase g.
Okay. What is POF?
Plenty of Fish, it's a website, yeah. And I found that out through Facebook.
Okay.
Through the little ads when you like look at your timeline and stuff.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me, when did you first have personal contact with Jessica after she was released from prison in August of last year? Tell me about how that happened.
She met me at one of this one girls I was seeing, Alicia's, right there by the Size.
I'm sorry, by where?
By the Size gas station. It's not a gas station no more, but it's I'm trying to, by San Mateo. The Size Market, it's S-A-I-Z, Size.
Oh, S-A-I-Z, the last name?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it used to be a gas station, but there's no more pumps now. They have the pumps out of it.
Okay. And it's on San Mateo now?
Oh, it's by San Pablo.
Okay.
Right by San Pablo.
They kind of go the same way.
Yeah, like if you keep going like that, and there's San Pablo, but if you go up a few more streets, you can see it on the corner.
You know what the other cross street is? San Mateo and San Pablo run
I
the
think
same
it's
way.
San Mateo, yeah.
They run the same way.
I'm not sure.
Is it still there? It's called Sice Market?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And Alicia, what's Alicia's last name?
I think I gave it to you guys in the beginning. I think it's Martinez. I'm not sure, but I want to be sure.
Okay. Is this the same Alicia that you have, were having a lot of contact with back in August of last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Could it be Alicia Aragon?
There you go.
Okay. Did you date her at one time?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So tell me what happens when you guys meet up, when you and Jessica meet up. Is Alicia there when you meet up?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was, and Jessica met with us, and then
How did Jessica get to the Sice Market?
she said she took the bus.
Okay. Okay. So tell me what happened when you met there.
We met up, and then we went and got something to drink at the Bird. At the Bird.
The Bird?
Yeah, that liquor store.
Okay.
And that's when she was talking about she just got out and she wants to try to change her life around and get a job. And that's when she said that she was supposed to help Cherie out because Cherie had bonded her out for $500, and that's how she had gotten out.
Okay.
And because she was out on bond. And,
Okay.
or she
So
was,
even though she's released from prison, she had a bond on another case?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So Cherie put up the bond, so she
Yeah,
could get out
I
of that
think I
case.
believe she said it was $500. So she said that in exchange, she told Cherie that she was going to watch her kids for her, and that's how she would pay it off, I guess.
Okay. You know Cherie's last name?
Barella.
Barella. Okay. Are they related?
They're childhood friends.
Okay. So they've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you get to the Sice Market with Alicia? Do you have a car back then?
Lisa did.
Alicia drove you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
She
At
had
the
a
time,
white,
were
a
you-
white neon.
A white neon?
Yeah.
At the time, were you dating Alicia?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Where were you staying at that time?
My brother Joe's
Okay. Where was brother Joseph living at the time?
on Lost Desert,
Okay. Whereabouts is that located?
Rob Bravo and Quarters.
Okay.
And Gibbs, right up the new neighborhood of Gibson.
Okay. So way on the far west side of town?
Yeah. Like the south, you know what I mean? Not the Gibson up there, but like the new side.
Okay.
You know.
So what else happens when you meet Jessica for the first time after she gets out of prison last year?
Just that she said she wanted to get a job, and she didn't want to stay at her mom's, she said, and because I guess she said there would be meaner, and they wanted to make her stay at, and
I'm sorry, there'll be what?
she didn't want to stay at her mom's, she said,
Okay.
because I guess her brother wasn't treating her right, or they were just like being mean with her.
Okay. Okay, who's her brother?
Thomas.
They don't get along?
I thought they did, but I guess they don't.
Okay. Did Jessica have anything with her when you first met up with her?
No, not that I know of.
Did she say where she was coming from?
Yeah, she was coming from her mom's.
Her mom's?
Yeah.
Where's mom live?
A trailer park right by there's the Deluxe Inn up in Central up there. There's the Deluxe Inn and then there's a trailer park behind.
Far East Central?
Yeah, I don't know the name of it, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what else you guys talk about Jessica finding a job, and what else goes on during this first initial meeting?
Just she wanted to get a job and she wanted to try to get her own place and save up money, and she wanted to get all the drugs and try to sell it to get money to get her own place because she didn't want to stay at her mom's, like I had said, because she just didn't want to be there because they wanted to make her sleep on the couch, and she wanted her own room, and she said there was a bunch of people staying there, and there was just she just didn't want to be there.
Okay. She told you her plan was to get drugs and start selling them so she could make
And
money?
get a job, yeah, so she can get her own place.
Okay. Okay. Is that kind of, she says she wants to go straight, but she wants to get drugs and sell them?
That's what she told me.
Okay. Okay. What happened, how did the encounter with you three end that day?
That day
What happened when you left the market?
when we left the market.
Well, eventually you had to leave the Sice market, right?
Yeah. Well,
When you guys all meet there, you, Alicia, and Jessica, how does it end?
Shall we go to Cherie's?
Okay. How do you get to Cherie's?
She dropped us off there.
Okay. So, kind of walk me through it. Alicia drops you off, you and
Yeah.
Jessica there?
Yeah.
Okay, what happens at Cherie's between you and Jessica and Cherie?
That's when Cherie went to work and Jessica was watching her kids.
Okay.
I guess Cherie left her there to watch her kids. I think she had 2 boys and a little girl.
Okay.
And I don't know their names though. I don't know. That's when she put the application in for the churches
Okay.
on Cherie's laptop. And that was it. And then Michelle had picked me up from there
Okay.
at the end of the night.
So you stayed there the whole day at Cherie's with
Yeah,
Jessica?
yeah.
What went on while you guys were there?
Nothing. She just watched the kids and just stayed there. She filled out the application. Like I said, I got there during the evening, and I think Michelle picked me up around 9:30 after she got off work. So.
Okay. Where's Michelle working at the time?
Smith's?
Smith's? Which one?
I think off Bunser.
Okay. Way on the far west side?
Yeah, where the Burger King and the what else is there? There's the Burger King, and then there's a couple other little. There's a Subway there, and there's the Smith's gas station. That one.
Okay. Do you remember this was, we know from records that Jessica was released on the 15th of August, which is going to be a Monday.
Okay.
Okay, this incident occurred the 23rd and 24th, which is a Tuesday and a Wednesday. So sometime, do you remember when this first encounter with Jessica would have occurred sometime between the 15th? You remember when that was? When you met with her at
You're
the
saying-
Spice Market?
Okay, so you're saying she got out on the 15th?
That's what the records indicate. She's released from prison. I don't know when she gets to Albuquerque. That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
Do you remember when you met at the Sice Market and then you went to Cherie's? Do you remember what day that would have been?
No, but I'm thinking if we can get on Facebook and see when she messaged me, we can find that exact date out.
Okay. How many days do you think it was before the incident occurred?
Before this incident?
Yes.
Okay, say that again?
How many days before this incident occurred do you think you first met up with Jessica? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
1 day, 2
2
days,
days,
3 days?
like she said. I think
So-
2 days, yeah.
Pretty close to when it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. How about, we're going to talk about this barbecue where you got in a fight with her. Was it
I didn't get in a
before-
fight with Jessica. It was
How long before that barbecue did you meet up with Jessica at the market and go to Cherie's? I'm trying to give you some time frames that might help. I'm trying to figure out when you first met up with Jessica after she was released from prison. Do you remember the barbecue?
Okay. Amanda's, yeah, because I didn't want to go at first. And
Okay.
Jessica said, yeah, it's okay, yeah, you can come. I said, are you sure? Right now, I'm not getting along with Tasha.
So how many days before that barbecue do you think you met up with Jessica for the first time? Does that make sense what I'm asking? I'm
Yeah,
trying to give
like
you
2 or 3 days.
Okay, so probably the end of,
Yeah, because I remember the barbecue being either, I think, the 20th or the 21st. I don't know if it was on a Sunday or a Saturday. I know I wasn't on a Friday.
So probably the end of the week of the 15th, somewhere in here? Because we know from...
Yeah, because I remember it was either the 20th or the 21st, because that's when I had got when Amanda had hit me
Yeah.
with something.
We can tell you from interviews and from all the investigations so far, we can tell you the barbecue is on Sunday the 21st.
Okay, yeah, and Jessica didn't go. Jessica wasn't. She stayed there at Amanda's.
Okay, we'll get to that here in a second. So we're thinking 1 to 2 days, somewhere around there, is when you first met up with Jessica before the barbecue. Okay, so the end of the week of the 15th, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a time frame.
Okay.
Like I said, if you don't understand what I'm asking, just keep asking questions. We'll get through it.
Okay.
Okay. So Jessica didn't want to stay. When you first met up with her, Jessica did not want to stay with her mom.
No, she was like.
Where did she end up staying?
She said she was going to stay at Cherie's.
Okay.
And Cherie agreed to that, but she ended up wanting to stay with us
And who's us?
me and Michelle
Okay. And where were you and Michelle staying at that time?
at Michelle's apartment.
Okay. And do you know the address or where that is?
No, I don't know the address, but I know it was Arrow Point or something.
Was it an apartment complex?
Yes.
Okay. Is the apartment complex where this incident happened?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember the apartment number?
801, 808, 801.
Okay. Something like that?
Yeah.
808, 808. Okay.
Because I know it was building 8, and it was on the top.
So at what point does Jessica go from her mother's to Cherie's and then eventually with you and Michelle over at the apartment complex on Irving? Does that make sense? How does she make the move? She's gone, looks like, from mom's to Cherie's. How long does she stay at Cherie's?
I don't think she even stayed there.
Okay. Just that one day?
Yeah,
That
she was supposed to.
Okay. Didn't work out, or do you know why?
She just, I guess, got around to asking Michelle and me to ask Michelle if she could stay with us.
Okay.
She didn't.
So when do you think, does she start staying with you guys at the apartment? And I mean by you guys, I mean you and Michelle, before the barbecue at Amanda's?
I think, let's say the 18th.
Okay, the 18th, you're looking at a calendar, this is August 2016 calendar we're looking at. The 18th would be the Thursday before the incident occurred.
Yeah, because she had me go take her to her mom so she can get her stuff so she could start staying with us, because that's when she had asked if. And I said, you have to ask Michelle. I don't know, but and Michelle agreed to it. So.
How did it come up? How did Jessica ask that? She just flat out ask you? Or how
She
did it
just
come
said,
up?
now that Michelle knows that I'm going to be getting a job and I got an interview and stuff, is you think she could ask her if I could stay? She said. And I said, well, I'll ask, and then you guys take that up on your guys' own. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So Michelle agreed.
Had Jessica met Michelle by that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and they came to an agreement where Jessica said she would pay rent, I guess.
Okay.
And Michelle said she needed the extra money. Sure, she could use it. She could use it.
So you're, correct me if I'm wrong, but you believe on the Thursday, the 18th of August last year is when she begins to move in?
Mm-hmm.
And you said you drove to...
To Lori Collins' her
Okay.
mother's.
What car did you drive?
Michelle's.
Michelle's car. Can you
Yes.
describe Michelle's car for me, please?
It's a Buick Century, gold color.
Okay. What kind of stuff did Jessica bring from her mother's house? Remember her property, what she had with her?
Big old, like, those big plastic containers?
Mm-hmm.
Like 2 of those.
Okay. What, you remember what was in it?
Clothes, books, bags.
Okay. Just normal stuff like that?
Yeah,
So just 2 plastic containers full of stuff?
yeah.
Okay.
Stuff from, I guess, she bought from prison, and the rest of the stuff that she had left at her mom's.
Okay. After you pick up things from her mother's house, do you take her directly to the apartment on
Yes,
Irving?
yes.
Okay.
And, oh no, we got her kids, Tiffy and Armando.
Okay.
Yeah, because she wanted to visit them.
Jessica's children?
Yes.
Okay.
And so
what are their full names?
Armando and Tiffany.
Okay.
Tiffany Gonzales and Armando. I don't know the.
Okay. Where were they staying at that time?
Tiffany was staying with her dad.
Okay. Do you remember where that was?
It's right there in the Westgate area somewhere.
Okay. How about Armando?
Armando stays with his dad.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think in the South Valley somewhere. I'm really not sure.
Okay. So correct me if I'm wrong. You go to you and Jessica in Michelle's car. Does Michelle go with you when you get the stuff at Lord's?
No, Michelle's at work.
Okay. She's at work
Yeah.
at the Smiths?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you and Jessica go get Jessica's things at her mother's, Lori's place, and then you go pick her children up, Tiffany and Armando?
Yeah, because they Mondo had a football game on Friday.
Okay, on Friday the 19th?
Yep.
Okay. So,
And so
so by Friday the 19th has...
after the game after the game, that's when I guess Noah, the dad for Tiffany, agreed that Jessica can visit with Tiffany, and then the other dad, what's his name, Ale, I think, or something,
Okay.
agreed that Armando could visit. So
Visit with Jessica?
Yeah, so-
Okay. So does she actually move in on the 18th or the day of the football game on the 19th?
And the
Does
19th.
Jessica move in?
the 19th, yeah,
Okay.
and that was when her kids came with.
Okay, so we've established that on the day of the football game, which is August 19th of last year, that's when Jessica moves in?
Yep.
Okay. Where does Jessica stay inside the apartment, number 808?
She was supposed to stay in Matthew's room, and Michelle said that she was gonna have Victoria and Matthew stay in a room together, since usually, she said, sometimes they usually just stay together anyways, she said, in the room. Matthew ends up going to her room anyways.
Okay, and tell me who Matthew is.
Victoria's brother.
Okay. Would he stay at the same apartment 808 all the time?
I think I only seen him like 4 different times, because they would stay with the grandparents.
Okay, who's when you say they would stay with grandparents?
Oh,
who's that?
Matthew and Victoria.
Okay, so there was times that both the children, Matthew and Victoria, would go stay with
Yeah.
Michelle's parents? Is that
yeah,
who it was?
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And they would watch him most of the time, because Michelle would work.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay.
How-
At this time, on the 19th, is school in session? Are the children going to school? Do you remember?
I don't know. I know she had got some supplies and stuff. I just don't know what exactly day it started.
That's fine. Okay, so we've established on the day of the football game, that refreshes your memory, the 19th is when Jessica moves in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's when, after the football game, both parents of Jessica's kids agreed that they could spend time with her.
Okay. Do both Tiffany and Armando, do they ever spend the night there at the
Yeah,
apartment? 808?
they spent the night there that night.
Would that be the 19th, that Friday?
Yes.
Into Saturday the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Okay, let's move on, and I want to talk about Michelle Martens. Can you tell me the first time that you had any contact with Michelle Martens, whether it was electronically or in person? When did you first meet Michelle?
When I first met Michelle, I think it was the message.
Just any time however you first had contact with Michelle?
Through POF.
Okay. And do you remember?
And it was either the last week of July or the first week of August.
Okay. So end of July
Yeah.
or first part of August?
Yes.
Okay. So walk me through, just kind of tell me briefly I'm not very website tech savvy.
Yeah.
What is this POF? What is
It's kind of like Tinder, and it's like people make a profile, and then you go through it, it's a yes or no, and then if you like the person or if it's a match, then you just
that?
message
So it's
them.
what's referred to as a dating site?
Yes.
Okay.
A free dating site.
Okay. And just walk me through it. Were you just like surfing, looking at profiles, or
Yeah.
how did you come upon
Michelle. Just because, like I said, that's how I met Alicia, and like I said, I broke up with Tasha, so I was just like, and I didn't think we were gonna get back together, and I didn't really, because it wasn't working, you know what I mean. During the time we were together, it was just,
Okay.
she had her own things, and it wasn't just it was a bad relationship, and it wasn't the greatest, so
Okay.
we ended up just breaking up, and she was, and then that's how I met Alicia Aragon, and she was nice, and we got along good, and then that's how I ended up meeting Michelle.
Okay. So you met Alicia on the same
Yeah.
POF website?
Alicia Aragon, yeah.
Okay. Okay. But then you meet Michelle.
Yeah.
End of July into early August.
Yeah.
So walk me through after is there, forgive me because I've never used one because I don't really, is there conversation electronic conversation like emails, or do you just go meet somewhere? How does walk me
You
how it works?
message. I mean, you message, and if you want to meet them, or if they, you know what I mean. Okay, yes, and that. And
Okay.
me and Michelle had to message each other, and she, you know what I mean. She told me, we talked about what kind of different things we like the movies and scary movies and stuff. I remember, I think I told her about a scary movie, and I said I like scary movies is what I like and stuff, and I named a couple of scary movies, and then I forget what she had told me. But I think she said she liked scary movies too, and
Okay.
and you know what I mean.
And this is all electronically at first, just
Yeah.
like
Yeah, getting to know each other.
email type stuff?
Yeah, and then
Okay.
like, and I wasn't really gonna meet up with her. Like I was just because I liked Alicia,
Okay.
and so I was just and I met Michelle too. So and then I was like, I don't think I want to go meet this girl Michelle. Not that it was we had any bad conversation on there or anything like
Okay.
that, but so I just would like kind of blew her off, and she was just like insisted, you know what I mean? Well, when are you gonna come? Oh, I told her, oh, I'll go. I'm just waiting for my car. You know what I mean? The battery's messed up. I told her, you know, and it's raining. When it gets wet, it doesn't start, and blah blah blah. And like, I would kind of just like, you know what I mean? I would give her excuses not to go. You know
I
what I mean?
understand.
Because I liked Alicia, but then eventually she ended up saying, well, then I'll go get you. Do you have gas money? And then I said, no, I don't even got gas money.
Michelle says that?
Yeah, I said, I don't got gas money. So then I was like, she messaged me. She goes, well, my friend's going to lend me money. She'll lend me $5 to go get you. And I was like, all right. So, and then that day I was at my brother's, and me and Tasha
Which
had
brother?
Joe,
Okay.
and me and Tasha ended up being together again. And I ended up leaving with Michelle that night.
Okay. Do you remember what day that would have been? How long after you first have contact on this POF website do you actually meet her in person?
When she came and got me from my brother's.
Do you remember when that was? How long that was after you first had contact to where you finally meet in person?
Like I said, we could probably find that out through the messages when she says she'll come pick me up. That she got $5.
Was it a day, 2 days, a week, 2 weeks? Do you remember? I'm kind of trying to figure out how
Yeah.
you first have contact on the website,
Yeah.
and then you meet.
Yes.
Do you remember?
It wasn't long. It was like a couple days.
Okay.
Week of the tops.
Okay. So when you first met, tell me about that. When you first met in person.
When she came and picked me up and we went to her apartment, it was just her. She said her kids, that she had kids, and this is the first time she let me know she had kids and stuff like that, and
Okay.
that they were with their grandparents, and everything was arranged. She was nice, and she mentioned about her baby's dad or something, and that she said he was abusive and he was mean to her, and she mentioned something about he's trying to get her for CIFD, and that they were fighting back and forth trying to call CIFD on each other. She said she called CIFD on him because he was dirty and he didn't, and then he would call on her for some. She never explained the reason why she
Okay.
on her.
So she's explaining you with her. Did she say whose father?
She said it was that guy with the glasses that had the Grand Prix. She said he had a Grand Prix,
Okay.
and he would be at the bus stop too, and he did have a Grand Prix because I remember
Okay.
one time when we went to the bus stop to pick up the kids, he was there.
Which of which? Tell me the children's. Was he Victoria or Matthew's
He was
father?
Matthew's father.
Okay. So she's having issues back and forth with Matthew's father.
Yeah, and
Okay,
she
at
never
that
let
time.
me. She never let me know about Victoria's dad, and I never really asked.
So Michelle never really talked about Victoria's
No.
dad? Okay. So the first, if I understand this right, the first time you meet her in person, Michelle drives to your brother Joseph's house, picks you up, and what kind of car was she driving at that time?
Hers, the Buick.
The same Buick?
Yes.
The gold Buick described? Okay. And then you said she takes you back to her apartment? Is this the same apartment where the incident occurred?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you guys do?
Oh, we were just talking, like I said, and she was just doing it, and then we ended up just having intercourse, me and her.
The first night?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we ended up like just liking each other, and she was just like, "Oh, I like you," you know what I mean, a lot, you know what I mean, and so I was like, you know.
Okay. So it starts to work out?
Yeah, so we took it things pretty quick, but I mean, I didn't see nothing, I didn't think nothing wrong with her, you know what I mean? So
Tell me the apartment. What is it like?
it was,
Remember how many bedrooms?
at first, yeah, three.
Okay. So where did you guys have intercourse? The first night?
On her bedroom,
In her bedroom? Who's her?
Michelle's.
Okay. If we can, I'll have to ask every time.
That's fine.
Just, if you can, just tell me what we had in Michelle's bedroom.
Yeah.
We had it. Hers, I'll have to ask you. If you say he or
Who's her?
she,
Yeah, you gotta.
I'll have to just ask you.
That's
so
fine.
we can, just so I'm clear. Okay. Tell me about the inside of the apartment. Was it nice, clean, dirty, messy? Describe how you remember it the first time
It's
you
fair.
went there. Okay.
Not messy, not too clean, not too messy.
Okay. Was there anybody else there the first time you had sex with?
No,
Michelle.
it was just Michelle.
Okay. So her children were gone, like you
But
said.
her friend came with with her to pick me up that night, and her name was Pauline.
Okay.
She had glasses. And that's who lent her the gas money.
Okay. Tell me about Pauline. Do you know where she lives or anything?
She lived in the same apartment complex.
Okay. So she was a neighbor of
Yeah,
Michelle's?
yeah,
Okay.
the neighbor.
Do you know Pauline's last name?
No, I
Okay. Did Pauline come in the apartment for any time period when you went over there?
That night?
First night?
no. She just introduced herself, and she goes, "All right, you guys have fun. You guys see you later."
Okay. And that's going to be, if you meet her on on Plenty of Fish in late July or early August, can you have any recollection of when this first sexual encounter would have taken place? You know what I'm asking?
Oh, what, me and Michelle?
Yes, the first encounter at her apartment,
Like the day?
if you can remember.
Like I said, the day we'll be able to find out was when through the messages when she says, "I'll pick you up. I got $5 from Pauline."
Okay.
That'll be that. That's the exact.
But you don't have an independent recollection of what day that would be?
No,
Do you remember a time period?
It was in the night.
Okay. Okay. Was it night?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then walk me through after this first sexual encounter. Do you stay the whole night?
Yeah, and then she took me back to my brother's in the morning.
Okay.
She
At
said
that-
she had to work at 1 because I think she had to work at 1.
Okay. At that time, were you living with your brother Joseph?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why you're going back and forth
Yeah.
there? Okay. So tell me how it progresses. So,
Just everything was good, and I was staying with my brothers, and then me and Tasha tried to rekindle our relationship, but it just never ended. We never. So, and then I ended up seeing Michelle. So,
okay.
and then, like I said, I met Alicia too, and
So you're kind of at this whole time period in August 2016, you're kind of with Alicia, Tasha, and you've started this relationship with Michelle
Yep.
Martens.
Yep.
Okay.
Those are the 3 people that I only had
That's a
sex with.
juggle, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know
Okay.
it's
Okay.
truthful, but I mean, yeah, I was.
Okay, walk me through how it progresses with Michelle, and then walk me up and how you end up moving in with her. So walk me through that.
I told her, I asked her, is it okay if, if I end up staying with you, and I'll help you out, I said, because, and she, you know what I mean? I wanted to help.
What does help you out mean?
Like, you know what I mean? Because she said she needed some extra, and I told her, and I'll help you, I'll get a job, I know stuff, you know what I mean? And I'll start.
Help with payments
Yes,
and stuff? Okay.
and it was a lot closer to my brother Stevie's. And see, this is the problem I was having working with him from living that far out. My brother Joe's and with Tasha when we used to live right there on San Pedro too, was because he said if you can't get a ride to meet me, and you know what I mean, it's hard, you know what I mean. So
This is your brother Steve?
yeah, Steve.
So are you working for your brother Steve at times?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it was hard to even go work with him because it was, you know what I mean, it would conflict with his time and stuff and getting into the client's persons to the house at that
I
time.
understand.
Because I didn't have a vehicle at the time.
So living at the apartment of Michelle's is much closer
Closer,
to, so
yep.
it makes it more convenient.
Yep.
Okay.
So he could just, you know what I mean, pick me up, or Michelle could just drop me off, and so that's why I said, is it okay if I stay with you? I mean, and I'll help
So
you.
how
out.
long after the first sexual encounter you have with Michelle do you actually move into her apartment 808?
Let's see. I want to say in the middle of this week.
Okay, you're indicating the middle of the week of the 15th?
Right here.
Or actually the 8th?
Yeah.
So about a
Maybe
week.
the 10th or 11th.
So about a week before you start meeting up with Jessica?
Yeah.
So you're only in the apartment for about a week before Jessica comes on the scene?
Yeah, about a week maybe.
Okay. Okay. What do you move into, when you move into apartment 808, Michelle's apartment, what do you move in with? What do you take with you?
I just take my clothes. That's it.
Okay. No furniture, no anything like
No,
that? Okay.
no.
Do you have a vehicle at that time?
No, I didn't.
Okay. How are you getting around?
I would get rides from my brother, or Michelle would come get me, or Alicia would come and help me out and give me rides. And like I said, I was juggling. I didn't know if I wanted to still even try to work out with Tasha, or I didn't know if I wanted to be with Alicia. And then I met Michelle, and I thought she was a good person. I still think. And so I was like, this could work. Even if me and Michelle don't work out, like, you know what I mean, becoming in love or whatever like that, she seems like a good person, you know what I mean? Maybe we could just be friends until then, and she could, you know what I mean, I could stay with her and like.
Almost like a roommate?
Yeah, it
So
could
if the
become
romantic part
that.
doesn't work out,
If it doesn't, yeah, I said yeah.
you could just flow into,
Yeah,
hey,
but-
can I be your roommate? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's- okay.
and if not, I would have said, okay, that's cool, I'll go somewhere else,
Okay, okay. Sounds
But
good.
then I wanted to, like before this incident happened, I think a day or 2 days before, me and Alicia were talking, and I was like, told her, I think I just want to try to work it out with you, and we'll go back to my brothers. I told her.
Okay.
I think we had that conversation.
Okay. Do you eventually, when you move in, do you get a key to the apartment 808?
No.
Okay, so
No,
you-
I never even asked for a key. No.
Okay.
Oh,
How
but
would you-
one time when Lisa dropped me off, she gave me the key to so I could, you know what I mean, go in.
Okay.
And that
So
was the
how would
only
you
time
get
I
in and out if Michelle was like at work?
Either I would just stay there,
Okay.
and then I
So-
wouldn't leave.
So you never permanently had your own key to the place?
No, she never made me my own key. I never permanently had my own key. No.
Okay. All right. Let's move on.
If anything, like she would leave me the car, and there would be a key on her keychain. So that's
Okay. Were there times that you would drive her to work and then keep the car for the day?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you drop her off. Was that pretty common, the time period you were together?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How often would Michelle work?
She would work, let's say, 5 days a week. She get 2 days off, and I don't I mean, but when she would have her days off, it would be back to back.
Okay.
Like,
So she had,
yeah. So say like, she would be off on the 8th or 9th, you know, and then.
okay. So she'd work 5 days, have 2 days off, a
Yeah.
normal work schedule?
Yep.
How many hours does she normally work a day?
From 1 to 9, I think that's 8 hours.
Okay. So she'd work a full 8-hour shift. Was it usually 1 to 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's usually.
Okay. So the time we were with her was usually 1 to 9?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Let's move on.
when I would borrow the car, I would pick her up at 9, and then I would drop her off at 1
Okay.
when I did use the car.
What would you do when she's at work from 1 to 9 while you're living at the apartment? What would you normally do?
Like I said, I barely even like it was not like I was doing that for a long time. It was like I think only a week.
Okay.
I was borrowing the car, but I would go to my Uncle David's. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay.
And then just stay back. I'd go back to the apartment.
Okay. Let's move on to Victoria,
Okay.
Michelle's daughter.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me how you first met Victoria?
Victoria. Okay, the first night I went over there, she dropped me off in the morning, and then she said something to she's like, I wanted my kids to meet you too. You seem nice and this and that.
Is this
And
Michelle's telling
yeah, she told me something to that nature, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I ended up not showing up one time. I was at my brother's and I ended up going. So she was like, oh, well, me and my daughter and my kids were here waiting to meet you and stuff, and I never showed up. So, but then I think another day I showed up and her kids were there. They were nice. They were cool kids. They were really neat kids.
So you met both the children at the same time, Matthew
Yeah,
and Victoria?
yep, yeah, and
Did you meet them at the apartment?
yeah,
Okay.
the apartment.
Okay. Walk me through how'd that go?
Good,
Okay.
good. I mean, the only problem they had was just like, you know, typical kids. They nitpick at each other, you know.
So just brother and sister
Brother and
stuff?
sister stuff, yeah.
Okay.
And she would just get mad at Matthew and be like, you know, don't hit your sister, this and that, you know, like just bugging you. I mean, sometimes it'd be Victoria actually bugging him, and it'd be back and forth. You know, I mean, kids do.
Normal siblings
Yeah.
type stuff? Okay. How long after or let me ask you, do you meet the children before or after you move into the apartment? Apartment 808, I mean.
I meet them before I asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know them.
Yeah.
How long after the first time you have sexual relationships with Michelle, how long after that do you meet her children?
I think 2 days. Maybe.
Okay, pretty quick afterwards?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, what would you and Michelle, while this short period of time you're together, what would you guys normally do when she's off? What would you normally do?
We just stay at the house and just, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Watch TV, and then sometimes I would go introduce her to my dad or my uncles. Like I was barely just getting to know her and her family, and I was trying to introduce her to as much family as I can. You know what I mean? So because we felt comfortable with each other, so
Okay.
I invited her to take me to meet my dad, then to meet my Uncle David, and then she was trying to see when she could set up for me to meet her mom and her dad. But
Okay.
I don't know why she never wanted. I was like, I even asked her, I was like, how come I'm not? She goes, oh, because I don't want to tell them about you right now, yeah. And I was like, well, why not? I mean, that's fine. I mean, I understand. She goes, but you will, and eventually you will. I was
Okay.
like, okay.
So you never met her
No,
parents?
no.
Okay. Okay. What would you guys normally do? Was there any drug use at that time?
Mm-mm.
How about you? Were you on any drugs at that time?
No, just smoke weed.
Just smoking weed. Well, that's a drug.
And drink alcohol.
Okay, drink alcohol. How about Michelle? Would she normally drink alcohol with you?
Yeah.
Okay. What was her favorite? What did she like to drink?
She would just drink wine.
Just wine?
Yeah.
Okay. How about you? Would you like to drink back then?
Bud Light or vodka.
Okay. Okay. And did you ever see her use any drugs when you first started dating her and moving in?
No.
Okay. Didn't see any drugs. Any drug paraphernalia around the apartment?
No.
Nothing like that?
Mm-mm.
Okay. How much would she drink to excess at that time, or is she just a social drinker? You know the difference?
No.
Would she get totally
No. She was
blitz drunk?
kind of. There was only, like I said, there was only like 2 times where she drank with me,
Okay.
and like one was that time before this had happened, and then another time.
Okay. So really, there's not much drinking going on, and she's not using drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are only using, at that point, you're only using
Yep.
marijuana.
Mhm.
Where are you getting
No
your
drinking.
marijuana?
Huh?
Where do you get your marijuana at that point?
I got it from my brother's TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for his medical marijuana?
Yeah.
Are you buying it anywhere else? From anybody else?
No, I got some from what was it? One of my uncle David's friends.
Okay.
That came. I think I've only met him a couple times, but yeah, he gave me a little bud or two.
Okay. Okay. But mostly from your brother Steve?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
But that was just that day. He gave me a little.
We'll get to that here in a second.
Okay.
But, okay. Okay. With Victoria or with Matthew, did you ever babysit them alone before this incident happened? So every time you're around them,
Michelle's
with
present.
you?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me what you did with Victoria.
I really didn't do nothing. I mean, she would do her own thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
She would be in her room. She'd watch her TV.
Okay. That was her normal.
Yeah, and just do her homework. Her mom would make sure she'd do her homework.
Okay.
And like, but she was, like I said, the kids weren't there all the time. Like I said, I only met them like maybe 4 times in at the house like that. You know what I mean? Because they would be with the grandparents, and when Michelle's days off, that's when the kids would come. But sometimes the grandparents would keep them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like they're in and out of the apartment. They kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, is it the same-
Basically, they had more. I think the kids had more of a life with the grandparents. I think instead of Michelle. I think.
How about Matthew? Same kind of thing.
Same thing.
Kind of did his own thing.
Yeah. Well, I think Victoria went with the grandparents, and I think Matthew went with the dad.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. Okay.
And then when he'd come back, that's when they would fight, because she said he goes to his dad's, and she comes back from her grandma's acting up, and he comes back from her dad's acting up, and they just kind of. She goes, so.
Okay. Okay. Did Michelle ever talk about any type of abuse of either the children? Either physical or sexual abuse being committed by anybody? Did she ever talk about anything like that with you?
No, she just said she'd get mad at Matthew because he used the restroom, and he wouldn't tell her. Instead of just saying, Mom, I need you, or go to the restroom on his own, because he was old enough to go to the restroom.
Okay.
And I mean, I didn't judge the kid. I didn't judge her. I stayed out of it. Like I said, I barely met them. You know what I mean?
Okay. So she never told you, hey, with this past either father or relationship, there was issues going on, nothing like that?
No.
Okay.
She just said that her and the baby's dad would fight. She didn't say
Okay.
nothing about the dad was being mean to the kids, or
Okay.
Victoria, the grandparents were being mean to her, or anything like
She
that.
didn't mention anything about any sexual abuse of either
No.
Victoria or
No,
Matthew
I
to
would
you?
have addressed that. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Okay. All right. We're going to move on to the timeline. Do you want to take a few minutes, or you want to just roll right into the timeline now?
Take a break, get a drink of water.
Okay. We're going to take a minute. It's about 9:42 a.m. We're going to go ahead and take a break now.
Okay.
Okay. Again, it is Monday the 23rd of October 2017. The time now is 9:46 in the morning. It's the same people in the room as when we paused for a bit, allow Fabian to take a break. Fabian, we're going to move into, what I'm going to do is we're going to work on what I'm going to call a timeline. So we're going to start on Friday the 19th.
Okay.
And we're just going to kind of work through each day and kind of talk to you. I'm sure you know from all the discovery in this case that we've pulled phone records, Facebook posting, other things like that, that I'm sure your attorneys looked at as much as we have. So we're going to use those to help you refresh your memory on.
Okay.
Tell me if this helps. That's why I have the calendar out here. That's why we're kind of talking about things to try and give something to trigger your memory.
Okay.
So we can work through that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so we're going to talk on Friday the 19th of August last year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you've moved into apartment 808.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's walk through that day. Do you remember on the 19th, that Friday the 19th, does Michelle work that day?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And her regular schedule, you told me, is from 1 in the afternoon until 9 p.m.?
Yeah.
Do you think that was the day she worked, or that was the hours she worked that day?
Yeah, I think that was her typical schedule.
Okay. So tell me about that day. Just walk me through that day. Do you get up? Try to remember when you got up. Are the kids there? Are you there by yourself? Just kind of walk me through what you remember about Friday the 19th.
Yeah. Trying to think. That was with the football game, right?
That's the football
Yeah,
game.
in the morning of the two. Okay.
So if you told me correctly, Jessica she's at the 19th, she's already there, correct? And her
Yeah.
kids are there.
Yeah.
Or do they come later on after the football game?
They come after the football game.
Okay. How about Jessica? Is she there that morning when you get up that morning before you take Michelle to work?
Yeah.
Okay. So she stayed the night of the 18th and the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay. So what happens that morning? Where is Jessica sleeping that morning?
She slept in the living room.
In the living room. Okay. Does that mean that Matthew would have been in his room then? Okay. So Matthew's there that day. Okay. Do you remember how the kids? Do you remember them going to school that day?
Yeah, because I remember Michelle. I think she went and took him to the bus stop.
Okay. Where was the bus stop in relation to the apartment 808?
There's the first entrance and there's the second entrance more up, and that's where the bus picked him up and dropped him off.
Let me show you. This is a diagram of the Arroyo Villa's apartment, and I can show you. Let me walk through this. Let me step around here. Here's the office area. Okay. This is building 8. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Is that kind of orange? Do you remember whereabouts in building 8 would your apartment have been that you're staying with Michelle?
Right there, 808.
Okay. I'll go ahead and if you'll put an X right in the apartment where you're staying with a blue pen. Just put an X there if you could for me.
And that was the upper level.
Upper level. Okay. So you're talking about the bus stop and you're saying a second entrance. Can you indicate where that was?
There.
Okay. So it's way over here. Can you
Yeah.
put I hate to say it, but can you put BS for bus stop where that was? Okay. So from the
Or is that another entrance right here?
I don't know. Could it be over here? Well, here's the.
I don't think. No, I think it's this one.
Okay, right where you put the BS. That's
Yeah,
the bus
I
stop.
think.
Okay. So that
sure
morning
I
you
can-
remember. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where do you? So the night of the Thursday the 18th into Friday the 19th. Where do you and Michelle sleep?
Oh, in her room.
In her room.
Yeah,
Okay.
master bedroom.
And Jessica sleeps again
On the couch.
on the couch. Matthew would be where that night?
I think in his room.
Okay, and Victoria
In her room.
in her room. Okay. Do you remember that morning now? Is it coming back?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you know how both the children, do you remember them getting up? What went on before they went to school, anything like that? Is it coming back at all?
On Friday.
On Friday the 19th.
Trying to-
Do you know how they got to the bus stop?
Her mom.
Her mom. Does she drive them or walk them?
She walks him.
Okay, so she'll walk them and go
Yeah.
back. Okay. About what time would they normally go catch the bus?
8.
8? Okay. Okay, so remember Michelle walks them to the bus stop.
Yeah.
Does Michelle come back?
Yeah.
So now you've got Michelle, Jessica, and you in the apartment.
Yeah, and
So kind of tell me what goes on that morning.
we just talking. Jessica's talking about, yeah, it's cool. She'll help. You know what I mean? And that's when Michelle explains to her, okay, well, I'll move Matthew in Victoria's room, and you can rent that room out until you get on your feet to get your own place, like you were telling me. She said,
Okay.
cool. And then we take her to work.
Okay.
Michelle.
When you say
That one.
we, so
Me and
you and
Jessica.
Jessica took Michelle to work.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's about, is it 1 p.m.? Do you remember that being at 1 p.m.?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's when the football game was.
Okay, and that's the football game with
with Armando.
Armando. Okay, do you remember where that
At the-
football game was?
Bullhead?
At Bullhead?
Yeah.
Do you remember what time that would have been?
Oh, it had to have been around like maybe, I don't know. I don't know.
Was it light or dark when you went to that
It,
game?
it was noonday, like,
Okay.
so it was like right after, maybe two.
Armando, was it a school game or like a private club game? See the difference?
It was for his school, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So it's pads the whole 9 yards,
Yeah.
or is it flag football?
I think it's pads.
Okay, with helmets and stuff, so tackle
think so,
football?
yeah.
Okay. Before you and Jessica go to the game, what do you do at the apartment? Do you stay there? Do you go shopping? What do you do that after Michelle goes to work, you take Michelle to work, what do you guys do till the football game? You and Jessica?
I stayed in the room just laying down watching TV, and Jessica was on the phone in the living room
Okay,
and on the balcony.
okay. And on the phone, was there a house phone or were we
Her
talking
phone.
cell phone?
Her phone.
Jessica's cell phone, okay.
Because Michelle didn't have a house phone.
Okay. What was Jessica talking about on the phone at that time?
I don't know. I didn't pay attention.
Okay, okay. How do you get from apartment 808 to Bullhead for the football game?
In Michelle's car.
Okay. And does anybody else go besides you and Jessica
To where?
to the football game from the apartment?
No.
Do you guys drive anybody else? It's just
No.
you two? Okay. Are there any other visitors that come over on the 19th before you go to the football game? Either you have anybody over to the apartment or does Jessica have anybody over to the apartment that day, the 19th? Okay, so you guys, how long does the football game last?
I don't know, because I remember Jessica calling me and telling me to go ahead and meet her at her mom's. That her mom is going to be taking her to the house.
Okay,
To her mom's.
okay, back up. a
Because the
little bit.
game's over, she said. Jessica?
So Jessica calls you?
Yeah, she calls me.
I thought you guys were at the football game together.
No, I dropped her off
Where did you drop her off?
at the park where the game was.
Oh, okay, so you drive Jessica from the apartment to Bullhead, but you don't stay and watch the game?
No.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought
That's
you
okay.
watched the game. So when you drop Jessica off at Bullhead, where do you go?
I went to Alicia's for a little bit and stuff.
Alicia's?
Yeah.
Okay. Where was Alicia living at the time?
Oh, she was staying at her friend's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
How did you get a hold of Alicia?
I called her.
Called her?
Mhm.
Okay. And so what happens next? You go to Alicia's for a little while. What happens next?
Go to Alicia's for a while, just hang out there, and I was waiting for her to get there, and she said she'll be there in a little bit, and she didn't. You know what I mean?
Who's that?
Alicia.
Okay.
Yeah. Shorty was there, her friend, the house, the owner of the house,
Okay.
and she come, so I just I was waiting, and I forget. Well, I think it was Shorty's friend. I don't think it was Alicia's friend, but it was one of some guy that Shorty knew.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Shorty, tell me about Shorty. Who is Shorty?
I forgot her real name. I don't.
Is he Alicia's relative, boyfriend? What is
She
he?
was her friend, I guess.
Okay.
She was her friend.
Is
And she just had.
Shorty, is he male, female?
She's a girl.
Okay, Shorty's a girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Is she white, black, Spanish?
I think she's Hispanic.
Okay. And you said it was Shorty's house
Yeah.
where you were meeting Alicia.
Yeah.
Where does
Where I
Shorty
was
live?
gonna- Huh?
Where does Shorty live?
Right there by the Sites Market.
Okay, so it's up in the Southeast Heights?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So how long are you at Shorty's house?
Not long.
Okay.
And that's when her friend, I forgot, I don't know his name.
Whose friend?
Shorty's.
Okay,
So
Shorty's
some
friend.
guy that she used to have over there.
Okay.
And I guess he was homeless or something, where he didn't have nowhere to stay or nothing. But
Oh, he's
he used to-
homeless, okay.
Yeah, I didn't really ask too many questions about him, but
Okay.
yeah, me and him hung out for a while, and then that's when Jessica had called and said she's ready.
How did Jessica get a hold of you?
She called.
She called?
Yeah, called to text my phone.
Okay. Do you remember what number you had back then?
I don't.
Okay.
I know it's on the. It's just like a 5-7. It's like I barely only had the phone for I think like 2
Okay.
days.
Okay. So Jessica contacts you from her cell phone to your cell phone?
Mhm.
And you're at Alicia's, or you're at Shorty's? Okay.
Yeah.
And what does Jessica ask you?
If I can meet her at her mom's because the game's over and stuff.
Okay.
And her kids are going to be with her. That the parents allowed them.
Okay. Okay. So do you go get Jessica?
Yeah.
Where do you pick her up?
At Lori's, her mom's.
Okay, Lori's
The
mom's.
trailer park where Deluxe in.
Okay, way up on East Central?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. About what time is that? Do you remember? Is it dark?
Evening?
Evening?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're on Friday the 19th in the evening. You're now picking up Jessica at her mother Lori's house on East Central. And who does Jessica have with her at that time?
Nobody. She just told me to wait. Me and that guy that went to Shorty's. Like I said, I forgot his name. I don't know his name. But
So he went with you to
yeah,
Lori's?
Yeah.
Tell me about this guy, Shorty's friend. Is he white, black, Spanish?
He's Spanish, I think.
Okay. How old do you think he is?
He's probably, let's say, his early 20s.
Okay. And so would Alicia know who he is?
Yeah.
Okay. But definitely Shorty's going to know who
Yeah,
he is.
yeah.
Okay. So he
Because I was her
actually-
house, so I'm pretty sure she knows.
Okay. So he actually goes with you to pick up
Jessica and her
Jessica.
Kid. Yeah, and
Okay.
kids. Yeah, and then I was gonna. I told him if he wanted to come, just because I'm not. Don't drop him off at the casino. No. So I was like, all right. So
Okay.
I was like, I told him, do you want me to drop you back off at Shorty's? I told him. Or do you? He goes, no, just drop me off at the casino. So that's when we dropped him off at the San Diego Casino.
So whose vehicle are you in at this point?
Michelle's.
Okay. So you, this guy that knows Shorty, you drive up to meet with Jessica at her mom's Lori's trailer
To
on
get
East
her
Central.
stuff and then her kids.
Okay. And so this male that knows Shorty, he wants to go to a casino.
Yeah, he said, don't take me back over there.
Don't
just
take me back to Shorty's?
Yeah, he said to take me to the casino and I'll find her right back to Shorty's later on. Or something.
Okay. Which casino did you take him to?
San Diego.
Sandia, okay. So when you leave Lori's house, you leave with this male, Jessica. Are the kids with Jessica at that
Yep,
point?
and they're
Both of them?
on these two big containers and I think a couple of bags of her stuff, maybe.
Okay, so you're picking up some things from Lori's then?
Yeah, her
Okay.
stuff that she was gonna move in with.
Okay. Do you go from Lori's to the Sandia Casino?
Yep.
And then from Sandia Casino, where do you go?
So we go to the apartment.
The apartment?
The kids,
apartment
yeah.
808?
Yep, and
Okay.
Jessica gets her stuff down. The kids get down and they swim for a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that day too, we went shopping for dinner for that night
Okay.
because we had hamburgers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where did you cook the hamburgers?
at Michelle's.
Okay. Inside or outside? Was there a grill or something there that
No,
you
we
guys could
could-
use?
If there was, I didn't know. I didn't even
Okay.
ask. We just cooked dinner.
Did you cook dinner inside?
Yeah, everyone was together, all of us.
Okay. Was Michelle, when you get cooked dinner,
Yep, she was there with her
she was
kids
there?
too. Michelle,
So it's got to be
Victoria.
after 9 by then.
Mhm.
Good. Okay. How does Michelle get home from Smith's?
I picked her up.
Okay.
Yep.
So by the time you guys have dinner,
I picked her up, and Jessica stayed there with her kids.
okay.
And then when I picked up Michelle dropped me back off and said, I gotta go get Matthew and Victoria.
Okay.
And then that's how we all get together.
Okay. So eventually, Friday night, that apartment's full, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I got it correct me if I'm wrong. You, Jessica, Michelle, Tiffany, Armando, Matthew, and Victoria are all there. Okay. Is that Friday night all the way into Saturday? Is that everyone stays there? So it's like this huge camp out.
Yeah.
Okay. Where does everybody sleep? Where do you and Michelle sleep?
Me and Michelle slept in the master bedroom.
Okay. Where
and I
does Jessica
believe
sleep?
Jessica slept in the living room with her kids.
Okay. So they
On
all.
the couch, on the floor, I don't know. which
Okay, they
one.
all.
I didn't check.
Where did Matthew stay?
I think he stayed in his room.
Okay, and how about Victoria?
Or her room also.
Okay.
Like that's what Michelle had told me, so.
Okay.
I didn't go check, so.
Okay. What goes on after you guys eat your hamburgers? Does the whole crowd of you have hamburgers and everything? We know it has to be after 9 because Michelle's
Michelle,
off work.
yeah.
So what goes on that night? What does everybody do that night? Friday night into Saturday morning?
No, we just have a good time. We're watching TV and Netflix. Because I had hooked up her wireless router because she had a Wi-Fi thing and she's like, I have that, but it don't work. I said, it don't work. So I looked at it and I said, it works. How come you said it don't work? I said, it works. I said, look, all I did was plug it in and press power. I said, and we went on. She
Okay,
goes,
so you got
cool.
her Wi-Fi hooked up?
Yeah, she goes, oh, cool. I thought it didn't work anymore.
Okay.
I was like, usually, if you didn't pay the bill, it don't work. But I said, they must be still charging you or it still works. I said, but, you know.
Okay. So you got her Wi-Fi working?
Yeah, I got our Wi-Fi working.
Okay. Okay. What time does everyone go to bed? Friday night into Saturday morning, the 20th, 19th and the 20th.
Say around 10, 11, 10.
Okay.
10.
So not that late?
Yeah, not
Okay.
that late. No, I wouldn't say late.
Okay. Anything else go on that Friday that you can think of now? Did Jessica have anybody other than her kids there?
No, not that I know.
Okay.
That I seen or not that I was aware of her.
Okay. Do you remember, were you present, or let me ask you, if I remember correctly, you said Michelle had to go get Victoria and Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
We know at that point the school had already started. So do you know how they got home from school before Michelle went and got them after she got off work?
Oh, they got home. I think the grandparents.
Okay. Okay. Would that be normal that you remember in that short period of time when you're there? If Michelle was working?
Michelle was working. Yeah, she would. The parents would pick them up. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean the grandparents. Yeah.
Okay. And then after work, was it normal?
Yeah, Michelle would go back and pick them up,
Okay.
or their grandparents would drop them off.
Okay. Okay. Do you remember anything that happened, anything that stands out in your memory on the 19th into the early morning hours of the 20th? Okay. Let's move on to Saturday morning, the 20th of August of last year. So you've got the living room's loaded with Jessica and her two kids, Matthew and Victoria in their room, and you are with Michelle. What
Yeah.
time do you guys all start getting up?
On Saturday?
It's Saturday morning.
I
This
think
is after you
around-
fix the router,
Yeah, after
the hamburger night
Yeah,
kind of flows into Saturday.
Let's say 9.
Okay. Okay. So what happens that day? Walk me through. What goes on? That's a Saturday, so obviously there's no school. Did Michelle work that day? Do you remember?
I don't know. I think.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So what happens that morning? Just kind of walk me through. Tell me what you remember. It's loaded with kids. You got, what, 4 kids?
Yeah.
3 adults. So it's kind of busy.
That morning. I think that was the morning. So she had Willie pick her up, and the kids. I think.
Tell me who Willie
And
is.
that's when they went to the barbecue.
Okay. Well, now we know from all the interviews we've done, and it's been disclosed to your defense attorney, all the other attorneys, the barbecue happens on Sunday the 21st. So we're back on Saturday the 20th, the day before. So the football game's on the 19th.
Is that when the football was it on a Saturday? Maybe then the football game was on a Saturday.
That's what we're trying to figure out.
I
Is
think
that
it was
possible?
on. Yeah, because
'Cause it
now
may-
that we're getting right there, it's not matching up with me in my memory.
Perfect. That's what we're trying to work through.
Okay, yeah.
So now
So it
it's
was a
possible-
Saturday because now that I think of it, I think since school started, I think Mondo was going to school too. So I'm thinking maybe a game didn't go on because school
That
was
makes
on.
sense.
Yes.
Especially if it's the Apple, it's going to be on a weekend. It's probably
Okay.
not
Yeah.
gonna
So
be
it
a
was
Friday.
Saturday.
Okay. So that means all this we just talked about would have been Saturday the 20th
Yes.
when everyone came over.
Yep.
And you had the
Yeah, the
hamburgers.
and
Okay.
everything was- yeah.
The football game goes on. So all this we just talked about is actually on the 20th.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to the 19th. That's the Friday before. That's going to be a school day. We know that's school
Yeah.
week. Talk to me about the 19th. What goes on then? Does Michelle work that day?
Yeah.
And is Jessica moved in by that point? This is the day before the football game. Is she moved in by then?
No. She stayed with us. We didn't get her stuff until the 20th. And the kids,
Okay.
yeah.
So
So she
probably-
stayed there that night. Yeah.
They say, well, what goes on that night? The first night Jessica stays there, the 19th? Have I got that right?
Oh yeah. Oh, she was acting kind of weird. She was like, she didn't want to go to bed at first, and she was just like, man, my mom and them are bugging me. They keep calling me, telling me I should go over there and I should stay over there. But I want to stay with you guys, and we already made a deal with Michelle saying that I'll pay rent and stay here, and I don't want to stay at my mom's because I already told you that they're having me stay in the living room on
So
the couch.
right off the bat, the first day, Jessica's kind of having issues with her mom about
Yeah.
where she's going to stay.
Mhm.
Okay.
And just like, kind of like, just.
On the 19th is the
Not
first
happy.
day she stays there.
Yeah.
This is the day before the football game and the hamburgers and things that we talked about.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Was there did Jessica have anybody over? Any friends, anything like that?
No. On the 17th.
So we're back on Wednesday the 17th.
Yeah, I think that's the first day she even stayed the night.
Okay, so she's there for 2 or 3 days before the
Yeah.
football game.
And she had some guy come over. I don't know his name. I think his nickname was Pineapple, as she said, or Crystal had said.
Pineapple?
Pineapple, and he was a biker. From Pee Wee's Auto Shop, right there across the street from CVS. And he was, I guess he was a mechanic there.
And what do you mean that she had
She
this
had him.
pineapple guy?
She had him come over, I guess, because I guess she said that because Crystal used to date or is still dating him. I don't know if the relationship's still going on or not, but I know Crystal was seeing. His name is Pee Wee,
Okay.
and he was the owner of the body shop.
Okay.
And
I'm going to show you a photograph out of mark number 7. Tell me if you recognize this person, and if so, where you know number 7 from.
that's the person she called over, Pineapple.
Okay. That's number 7 is the person you recognize as Pineapple.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're telling me there's a time when this person that you know as Pineapple in number 7 came to apartment 808.
Around that week, yeah. I mean, like I said, we can narrow it down, and we can on the phones when they were texting and when Jessica was texting him, telling me they were going to come over and they were going to meet up. We could find out the exact date, but I'm pretty sure it's around there.
So it's before the football game?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What is this guy, we're going to call him Pineapple, just to
That's
make
what
it
they
simple.
called. That's what they told me his name.
Oh, no,
was.
I'm just saying, just to make it simple, we'll call him Pineapple. What did Pineapple do when he came over?
He came over in a bike,
Okay, what kind of bike?
like a custom one,
Like a bicycle?
motorcycle,
Motorcycle. And what color it was?
like a Harley, like maybe like orange, maybe
Okay.
like an orange, but it was like custom paint job.
Okay. How
Maybe
much
like a-
contact did you have with
Yeah.
Pineapple? Do you know why they called him Pineapple? I'm just curious. Okay. How much contact did you have with Pineapple?
A lot. He came over and he was just like, "Hey man, do up," and then I was like, "Hey."
I'm sorry, he did.
He said, "Hey man, what's up? How you guys
Okay.
doing?" You know, and I was like,
Was it daytime or
"It was
nighttime?
nighttime."
Okay.
And him and Jessica went to the bathroom, and they were talking for a while, and me and Michelle were in the living room, and we're just sitting there chilling. And Jessica, I guess I'd asked him what they were doing. Jessica's like, "Well, I'm getting ready because we're probably gonna go somewhere. We're probably not gonna stay here." And I was like, "So I'm just asking what you guys are doing in the bathroom. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you guys to explain it to me, but I was just seeing why if you guys are gonna go somewhere. If not, if you are, let us know so we can, you know what I mean, go to bed too. You know what I mean?"
Okay.
So I'm thinking now, and then I ended up going to bed because that's when Jessica was saying the stupid stuff about chopping people up and about
I'm
a
sorry,
chop
doing
shop,
what?
about Crystal's van. And she goes, "I wonder if this guy Pineapple knows if my van, my sister's van, Crystal, if the reason why they can't find your van is because maybe they chopped someone up in it and chopped it because it's a chop shop."
Oh, like a chop
I
shop.
thought she was just talking
Okay.
like big and bad.
Talking about stolen vehicles
This
getting
thing,
cut out for
yeah,
parts
and
stuff.
then
Okay.
that's when she had told me. After she had said that one, she had mentioned something too one night about she thinks Sinner's after her because.
Okay, we'll get to that part here.
Okay.
Okay, so how many times does Pineapple come to the apartment that you know of?
That one night.
That
That's all
one
I know,
night.
yeah.
How long does Pineapple stay at the
He
apartment
stayed.
that one night?
I thought they were gonna leave, and I went to bed.
Okay.
Okay. So I didn't know if he was gonna stay because they never told me because like I said, Jessica was getting ready, like if she was getting ready to leave with him, and he never told me he was gonna stay. Michelle never told me nothing either. She was just like, she
Okay.
was okay with it, you know, so I was like,
How long does he stay at the apartment?
so I guess he stayed all night because the reason how I know this, it wasn't because I was up all night with them. It was because when I woke up, I got up and I was like, Michelle's like, "Hey," and then Michelle was up too. And I was like, you know, and then she woke me up. She goes, "Oh, there." I was like, "What's going on?" She goes, "Oh, who are you talking to?" I was like, she didn't tell me who I was talking to. I told her who she was talking to. And she was, "Oh, I'm talking to Jessica and, what's his name?" I don't know if she mentioned his name, but I can't remember.
Okay.
I wasn't paying attention.
So he's
But
there-
I was like,
he's
she's
there
still,
the
I was
next
like, yeah.
morning?
And I was like, he's still here?
Okay, so the next morning he's there.
Yeah.
Can you determine what night, if we know the football game happened on the 20th, how soon before the football game on the 20th do you think this Pineapple guy stayed at the apartment?
Before the football game?
Yes. It was before the football game. I thought you would have told me.
About 2 days.
About 2 days?
Two
Okay.
days before, yeah.
So on Thursday?
Yeah. Thursday or Wednesday.
Okay.
No more than that. I mean,
Okay.
I don't, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever met this Pineapple guy before that night?
Before that night, yeah, through Crystal, her sister.
Okay.
Because, like I said, she was dating that guy, the owner of the body shop.
Is that who you're calling Pee Wee?
Yes, yes.
Do you know Pee Wee's real name?
No, I don't.
Okay.
He said that was his real name. He said, "My name's Pee Wee."
Okay. And so how long have you met Pineapple before the night he comes over to the apartment 808?
How long did I know him?
Yeah. Did you met him through Pee Wee before?
I met him through Crystal. I met
Through
Pee Wee
Crystal.
through Crystal because, yeah.
Okay.
And
And so through Crystal and Pee Wee, you met Pineapple?
Yep.
How long before he showed up at the apartment in August of 2016 had you met Pineapple? Does this question make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Maybe, let's say, like 8 months. I didn't know him personally,
Okay.
but I knew that when I used to go there with Crystal, and when she used to go, like, help, she said she would help him do paperwork for the cards and stuff like that, for
Okay.
Pee Wee and stuff like that. And that's how, and he would come over once in a while, you know. And
So what do you know about Pineapple? What does he do besides work on vehicles? What else does he do?
I heard stories, like, I mean, this is what Crystal says. Like, she says that he's supposed to be from some kind of gang or some biker gang. I don't know if it's true
Okay.
or not. It's none of my business, you know.
Okay.
Never asked him, but yeah, I guess. And that's, I mean, I really never heard nothing bad, but I mean,
Okay.
to me, it seemed like Crystal and Jessica were like, they were, I don't know if they were scared of him or they were listening to him or if they had something going on that I didn't know. Because if
Okay.
they did, I don't know, but I just know exactly what I'm telling you and all I know.
So you get up the following morning and Michelle is actually talking to Pineapple.
And Jessica, yeah.
And Jessica.
And I get up and,
Do you know where this guy actually stayed for the night? Where he slept?
no.
Okay. You didn't see where he was sleeping that night?
I think Michelle said, I think they stayed up all night, Michelle said.
Okay. What happens that morning? Do you get up and see him that morning?
Yeah, well, see, and then I got up, and I seen this guy and Jessica. They were having sex in the living room. I was like, "What the heck?" You know? And
So you actually had him saw them having sex?
yeah, and I like cause our door was shut because we went to bed, and I thought they were gonna go to bed, and I thought if they didn't gonna go to bed, they were gonna leave. I guess because Jessica said, "Well, if we leave, I'll lock the door." Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But if we stay, whatever. But they never told me that. That's why I didn't know.
Okay. So you actually saw them having sex?
Yeah, I opened the door and I seen him having sex. I was like, what the heck? Because Michelle told me to go ask for a cigarette for Jessica. And I was like, okay, so. And I was like, whoa. And
Okay.
I
So
should,
you just kind of walked in and...
yeah,
oops.
and then that's when I told Michelle, I said, hey man, don't you think that's, I told her, I don't know. And that's when I told her that day, I don't know about Jessica staying here. And like I said, especially the kids, I said, what if one of the kids would have came out and seen that? You know what I mean? And good thing they did, and I said, but,
Were the kids, were Jessica's kids there at this time?
no.
Okay.
No,
So it has to be
because
before the...
yeah, that's
the
why I
barbecue.
said that,
Or
yeah.
the, not the barbecue,
Yeah.
the football game.
Mhm.
Okay. So it's sometime before the, okay. Did you ever see him come back
No.
to the apartment?
I know.
Do you have any knowledge that he could have come back to the apartment? Did Jessica ever say he came back again?
No, but she was on the phone a lot. And she was waiting in the parking lot on the phone, and
Okay. Do you know who she was talking to?
no, and when that night when she threatened me, saying that they're gonna kill me and this and that, I was thinking in my head, like, because everything kind of happened kind of fast too, you know what I mean? And I was thinking, maybe is she talking about this guy, or
Okay, we'll
because
get to
he
that
seems
here.
kind of intimidating. I was thinking, but I mean,
Is he a little guy or a big guy?
he's big.
Okay.
He's a big guy.
Okay. What kind of conversations do you have?
I really didn't have any conversation with him. We really, I mean,
Okay. When you kind of walk in and Jessica and this Pineapple guy are having sex, can you tell me specifically where that was?
on the couch.
Okay, it's in the living room then?
Yeah.
Okay, in the living room on the couch. Okay, can you tell me what kind of sex they were engaged in? Was it oral sex? Was it intercourse? Was it...
Jessica was naked and he was naked and Jessica was giving him oral sex.
Okay, so at the time you walked in, it was Jessica was performing oral sex on him. Okay,
And they were both naked and I was like, whoa.
okay, you just kind of walked in and said...
Yeah, and then
Okay.
and then I was telling Michelle, what the heck, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, that's when Jessica, like about 5 minutes later, she goes, oh, I'm sorry. She goes, yeah, I didn't mean you to see that. And I was
Okay,
like,
so she apologized to you?
Yeah. and I was
Okay.
like,
About what time was that?
that was like, I couldn't tell you exactly.
Okay. Was it dark or light out?
It was dark out.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a time where I thought maybe, you know what I mean, they were laying down at least, you know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. And what kind of conversation did you have with Pineapple in that? What did you guys talk about?
I didn't have any conversation with him.
Okay. So just hi, bye, that kind of stuff. Okay. And what happened, you said the following morning, Jessica's there, Pineapple's there, Michelle's
Yeah,
out in the living room area talking to him?
Yeah.
Did you go talk to him and see him leave?
No, I didn't. He did leave, but see, I seen him when he pulled up too. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So that's when I was like,
What
Jessica.
time did he pull up?
I was like, Jessica, he says down here. I was like, are you gonna go there? What's going on? She goes,
I'm sorry, say that again. You
I said, Jessica. She said, check my phone and see where he's at or if he's coming still. And then I checked it, and it said, he said, I'm almost there. I'm on my way. I'm on the freeway. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Okay.
Directions you can get in there. And then that's when he asked me the name, and I said it's the name of the apartment.
He asked you the name of the apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told-
How did he ask
And
you?
then he said, what's the apartment number? And I said 808.
Okay. Now, is this verbally or are you texting?
Text.
Okay. Okay. And what did he arrive on or in?
His motorcycle.
Okay, the one you
And then-
described?
Yeah, and I didn't think he was going to stay there. I thought they were going to leave together, but
Okay.
they never did.
And
like
that's
I said,
when
I
he stayed
see-
the night?
Yeah, and I seen him in the morning, but before that, when Michelle said if I can go ask for a cigarette, that's when I seen him.
Okay. Okay. So really no
Then Jessica,
conversation.
5 minutes later, she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So
Okay. Okay. So we
Can I
determined.
ask a question?
Yes, sir.
On this night, were the children home? Victoria and Matthew were both home? Okay.
Okay.
Sleeping, where were they sleeping?
they were sleeping in their rooms, and that's why I said, good thing that none of the kids seen it, because I'm thinking if they did, they would have came and told Michelle, and that's
Okay.
something I'm pretty sure.
So the time that this Pineapple guy and Jessica are engaged in sexual activity on the couch in the living room, where are you and Michelle?
We were in our master bedroom with the door shut.
And
Already-
where was Matthew?
Uh,
To the best of your knowledge.
to my knowledge, what Michelle told me, he was in his room and Victoria was in hers.
Okay. Did you
'Cause
ever
she's-
see any contact on this night, between this Pineapple guy and the children? Victoria and Matthew. Did you ever see any contact?
No, but if there was, I didn't see.
Okay, you just didn't see it. Okay, that's fine.
And like I said, I'm pretty sure Victoria would have told me something, or maybe not, or maybe she would have told the mom something.
Okay. But
I
you,
would
you,
believe.
you didn't see any contact between
No.
Matthew and Victoria and this Pineapple at that time?
No, I just thought it was inappropriate by what I
Okay.
seen and.
But if
what
I'm,
I took in. And the
but if I'm
kid-
correct, that is before Jessica brings Mondo and Tiffany over, so they weren't
Yeah.
there when this is going on, is that
No,
correct?
No.
Okay, okay. So we've determined now, it wasn't the 19th when this football game goes on. We believe it's Saturday the 20th. Okay, so now we've gone through that Saturday the 20th. Okay, so let's move on to Sunday the 21st. And I can tell you from interviews and all the paperwork that's gone over to your defense team, that is the day of the barbecue
At
at
Amanda
Amanda's.
Padillas.
Okay, does that help refresh your memory?
Yes, on Owens, on Barcelona.
Yes. So let's start that morning. It's a loaded apartment that morning. You've
Yeah.
got Tiffany, Armando, Jessica, Victoria, Matthew, you, and Michelle. So the apartment's pretty loaded. Okay. Do you remember that morning? This is Sunday the 21st. What goes on that morning? You've got 4 kids and all you adults there. What happens that morning?
The
on the
grandparents
21st?
picked them up, I
Who's-
believe.
Who's them?
Michelle's grandparents.
Picked up.
I think it was the dad that picked them up.
Picked up who?
Victoria and Matthew,
Okay. So Michelle's father picked up
the kids.
Matthew and Victoria. You know about what time that was Sunday morning the 21st?
We would say we woke up about 9, maybe like 10, 11.
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
So now it's just you,
Michelle,
Michelle.
Armando, and Tiffy.
Tiffany. And is Jessica still there?
Yes.
Okay.
Jessica.
Does Michelle work that day? That's the day of the barbecue, the Sunday the 21st,
Yeah, she goes to work at 1, I think.
at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me what goes on between the time that Matthew and Victoria are picked up by Michelle's father and then Michelle goes to work. How does Michelle get to work that day?
I take her.
Okay.
And Jessica stayed at the apartment with her kids.
With her kids?
Yep.
Okay.
Because she was getting ready for the barbecue.
Okay.
Her and her kids.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
first she wanted to have me drop her off, but that's when I said I didn't want to drop her off because Tasha was going to be there in the mountain. And right now I said I'm not getting along with them right now too good because
Okay.
the way they're acting, they're blaming me for like I don't know if you guys want to hear it, but I'm saying they're blaming me for stuff I didn't take. They're accusing me of just they're just being awful with me and they're doing it on purpose and I'm not the person. I said, I know they're just trying to.
Okay.
Get me
So if
out.
I understand right, you don't want to go to the barbecue because there's some drama going on.
Yeah, and I know if I go there, it's Amanda's gonna start up, Tasha's gonna start up, and then Amanda's gonna start up, and they're just all gonna be against me, like how it's
Okay.
been for the last.
So you tell Jessica, and correct me if I'm wrong, don't let me put words in your mouth. You tell Jessica, I'm not taking you to the Amanda's barbecue because there's too much drama and I don't want to
Yeah,
deal
and
with
I don't
that.
want to. I just don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to get in a conflict. I don't want to fight. I just don't want to.
Got it. So what
So
goes
then she
on
has
after
Willie.
you? I'm sorry. She asked who?
So then she has Willie Hollis.
Okay. Who's Willie Hollis?
Willie Hollis used to be her brother-in-law.
Okay.
From Janice Hollis is his mother,
Okay.
and she knows them is Janice Hollis used to date my uncle Jimmy, Jessica's dad, James Kelly,
Okay.
a while back.
Okay. I've heard different stories that he could be a half brother and even a cousin to you. Is that
I don't think so.
so? Nobody knows what the real biological relationship is.
I've heard that when I was a kid too. That maybe my uncle might have been the dad, but
Okay.
that was just a hearsay from Janice Hollis. I think.
One of those things,
Yeah.
okay.
It never was verified through DNA or nothing like that. Like
Tell
I
me
was saying,
about
it was
Willie.
with me and
Tell me, how long have you known Willie?
like I said, my uncle Jimmy used to stay there with my grandma, and I stayed there with my grandma. And Janice used to stay there too.
Okay.
And
So when you're little,
yeah, so
Willie's around?
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's it. And that's all I know. I mean, I've never. And then I don't know
Where
where
did-
he moved. I don't know if he stayed in Albuquerque. I don't know where.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, Jessica calls him back again. She goes, "Remember Willie a long time ago?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know." She goes, "Well, he's gonna come get me, so you don't have to take me no more. You don't have to go where you're going." And then
Okay, that's on Sunday the 21st.
Yes.
Jessica tells you, Fabian, I don't need you to take me to the barbecue.
you don't have to.
Willie's coming
Willie's
to
just
get
gonna
me.
come pick me up.
Okay.
Pick me up.
Okay.
And that was, I think he picked her up in a Ford with a teal blue, Ford white, and then teal blue with like
Okay.
two different colors.
Where did Willie pick up Jessica?
At Michelle's.
Okay, at the apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did he take anybody else besides Jessica to the barbecue?
I don't know. I just know he
How about her
took Jessica,
children?
yeah, and her two kids, yeah.
Okay. So he picks up Jessica and Tiffany and Armando.
Yep.
And
They go to
as far as you know, they go to the barbecue. Do you talk to him at that time?
No, I didn't. I didn't talk to him. No.
Okay.
I'll get to that now when you ask me. When I did talk to Willie, though.
Okay. So at that time when he picks him up, you don't have any contact with him?
No, I just seen Jessica and them walk downstairs and go to the parking lot, and I
Okay.
seen it with the truck he was in.
Does
Which-
Willie come in the apartment?
No,
Does Willie ever come in the apartment?
no, not that morning when he picked him up. No,
How about ever?
no.
Okay. So
No.
what happens, so Jessica, her two children, and Willie go to the barbecue. About what time is that?
Let's say, I want to say 12 maybe.
Okay, so around noon?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you do after,
I stayed there. You know what I mean? I didn't want to go anywhere. I was kicking back, relaxed, laying down. And then that's when Jessica texted me and said, "Just come on, everything's okay." And then she has Willie text me too and said, and I don't know if he was texting from her phone or from his, but he was telling me, "Come on, man, it's alright, everything's okay." And I was like,
so both Jessica and Willie are asking you to go where?
"Yeah, to go to Amanda's." And I'm like, "I don't want to go." I tell her, you know what I mean? I said, "It's just I already know it's gonna be. They're gonna argue and something it's not gonna be." You know what I mean? So. Then I ended up just giving in and saying, "Well, did you ask Amanda?" I said, "Did you ask Amanda and make sure it was okay, even if I go, because I don't want to go there and then it just for nothing, and then you just start fighting with me, and you know what I mean, just be." And so she goes, "Yeah, I did. Amanda said it's okay," and I think she said that on the text.
So Jessica says,
Yeah,
Amanda says it's okay, you
yeah,
can come to the
and I
barbecue.
think I asked her that. I said, "Well, did you verify with Amanda saying that I was gonna go there and it's okay?" She goes, "Yeah." Something of that nature. Yeah, or yeah, it's okay, or don't
Do you
worry.
eventually go to the barbecue?
Yeah, don't worry, going to come.
Okay. How do you get to the barbecue?
Michelle's car.
Okay. Where's Michelle at this time?
Work.
She's at work.
Mhm.
Okay. So when you get to the barbecue, and where was it again? What street?
Owens, Barcelona.
Owens. Okay. And that is.
I don't know the exact address.
Okay.
But
And
off of
whose-
course.
Whose? Is it an apartment or a house?
It's a house.
Okay. And whose house is this?
Angelo's, I think his
Okay.
name is.
And-
Notch Angelo,
Okay. And Angelo is who to Amanda?
her boyfriend.
Her boyfriend? Okay. So it's not Amanda's place. It's Angelo's place. But is she living there at the time?
Yeah, she's living there with her kids, and then Tasha's staying there with her kids, and
Okay. So what time do you think you get to the barbecue on Sunday the 21st?
let's see. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna say around 3, maybe.
Okay. So it's afternoon?
Yeah.
So tell me what happens when you get there. Who do you see? Who's at the barbecue?
I'm on my way there, and then when I'm going on Coors, I see someone walking, and I remember Tasha used to wear these red pants all the time.
Okay, slow down.
Tasha.
Okay, so you're driving there.
Driving there, and then I see someone walking. You know what I mean? Because when you're driving, you know how you pay attention to the road. You see, so I see someone walking, and I'm like, "Is that it?" I was like, "No," and I was like, "It is Tasha." I was like, "So I see her walking. I'm being nice, you know." So and then because I thought it was okay to go, because
This is Tasha, your ex?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I see her walking, and I just noticed her red pants, and I was thinking, "Is that her?" So and then I said, "Yeah, it is her." So I pull over and I said, "Hey, you want to get a ride? Come on." She goes, "Nah." And I was like, "What do you?"
She says what?
"No, fuck you." Nah.
Oh,
Like,
so it didn't go well.
I was like, well, what's wrong? I said, why are you even mad at me? I said, I'm not even here to fight. Jessica called me over to the barbecue. She goes, nah, I'm not even going. I said, I'll give you right back. That's fine. I mean.
Okay.
But
So,
she
what
was.
you're telling me Tasha does not want to get in the vehicle
Yeah,
with you?
she didn't want it. So I said,
Okay.
okay, fine. I left. Went to Amanda's.
Okay.
I get there, and then that's when I see Jessica and Willie there, and she goes, Fabian.
Who else is there? You got Jessica?
Jessica,
You got Willie.
Willie, her kids, Amanda, her kids, and I think a couple other people.
Okay, you remember who they are?
I think Cherie might have been there, maybe.
Who?
Cherie, maybe.
Cherie? Okay.
Or another girl that I know this other girl, but I don't know her, but I know I seen her. I think she was driving an Explorer.
Okay.
I just don't
Is
know her
this
name.
Angela?
That's the first time I've ever seen her. No, Angela wasn't there.
He wasn't there. Okay.
He was gone, and so I got there, and then that's when she said,
When who said?
Jessica, she's like, Fabian, will you do me a favor and go get Tasha? And then I was like, well, she goes,
Tasha, you just had a...
yeah. I
disagreement with?
said, matter of fact, I said, I just tried picking up and being nice and seeing if she to come here, and she goes, no, you better go get her, 'cause being nice. I was like, no. And then at that time, that's when Amanda said, why are you here? When you come? I said, because Jessica just called me here.
Okay, slow down. And when you kind of talk like they talk, it's going to be really hard to hear it on...
Okay.
So Amanda's, you're kind of going back and forth. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jessica wants you to get Tasha.
Yeah,
And you just like, hey, I just tried to pick her up. It didn't go well.
yeah, and then
Is that correct?
Yeah, and that's when Amanda's like, well, why are you even here? And I was
Okay,
like,
so
'Cause
Amanda kind of starts...
yeah, getting all rude at me and mean. And she
Okay,
said,
so
why are you
what-
even here? I was like, because Jessica called me here, and I even asked that if it was okay to come. She goes, well, it's not. No, I can't.
Don't talk in their voice.
Okay,
Just say what you don't have to do.
It's going to be really hard
It's not
down the
necessary
road
to
for
do
us.
inflection.
Okay.
Just
just tell me what they say just in a normal voice, or else we're not going to be able to understand them. on
Okay,
the
well, she
recorder,
just
okay?
said, well, no, I told, she was just mad because I was there.
Okay, so Amanda's already upset.
Yeah,
that
because I
you're
showed
there.
up,
Okay.
but I told her.
Why is it, I've heard some stories. Why is Amanda upset at you at that point?
Because she thought I had stolen an iPad from her.
Okay.
And I know I didn't.
Okay.
And I
So
told
she
her that.
thinks you took something from her, so that's why she's upset.
Yes, and
Okay. So now Jessica's asking you to go pick up Tasha, but you tell Jessica, I just tried to pick her up, it didn't go well.
Yeah.
What happens next?
and that's when Amanda said, well, I told you to tell Willie to go get him, and don't even why then Fabian shouldn't even be here. And she goes, well, he just came on his own. I was like, no, I didn't. I said, Jessica, you did call me over. And I was like, you know what, Amanda, why do you got to be such a bitch? I told her. And she goes, why? And then when I said that, that's when she hauled off and hit me with something. Or she went and got something. She
So
hauled
that's
off.
when the fight starts.
Yeah.
So you're not there very long before the fight starts. Do you get anything to eat before the fight starts?
Yeah, I was making, even the kids, I was being nice to all the kids, even
Okay.
Anna, little Anna was there, and
So you do get something to eat.
yeah, and I
before
started
this all
making, I'm
turns.
making it, and
Okay. Does somebody go get Tasha?
Willie.
Willie goes and
So
gets
Willie
Tasha.
goes and gets Tasha, yeah,
Okay.
and then that's when Amanda starts up with me, and then that's when I told her, well, quit being such a bitch, you know?
Okay.
And
Is that when the fight starts?
Yeah, and that's when she went inside, and she was holding a little baby, and then she, I guess, went and set the baby down and came back out, and she just hauled off and hit me.
Was anybody else involved in the fight besides you and Amanda?
Yeah, and then so when she did that, I was like, you know, I didn't hit back, but I pushed her back, and I told her, you know, what the heck, you know, why are you doing that? And I was trying to, so I said, you know what, fine. So I tried to get my glasses and my hat, and she was trying to hit me and kick me and do all this, and I was just trying to get out of there and get my hat. You know, I dropped my food because she had hit me, and so when I was trying to walk out of there, she was just trying to, like, following me and calling me names and throwing stuff at me. And
Okay.
so I walked to the car, and I was getting ready to leave, and that's when
Did you see Willie and Tasha come?
yeah, that's when they pull up.
Okay.
And then Tasha comes out and gets out and says, hey, man, Willie. And then,
Never just...
oh yeah.
Normal voice, tell me what they say.
She gets out of the truck, she goes, motherfucker, fuck you. what
So
do you
Tasha's still mad at you.
Yeah, and then she starts like getting real like aggressive with me when she didn't get aggressive with me at first when I was being nice to her, just offering to file a particular, you know what I mean? And then
What does Willie do?
Willie was just like, why? What? And he was like, he didn't know why they were being like that. And
Okay.
so then that's when Tasha hits me in the face, and then I pushed her back like that. You know what I mean?
What she hit you with?
Our fist,
Okay.
and then
So Tasha hit you too?
yeah.
Okay.
And then Jessica gets in the middle of it and tries to stop it, and it
Okay.
breaks us up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
While Amanda and Tasha are trying to throw stuff and hit me, and I'm bleeding everywhere. My eyes just, you know what I mean? And I'm just like trying to, you know what I mean? Just upset. So then
What do you do next?
then I go to my brothers, my brothers in Sabrina's house.
Which brother?
Joseph's.
Joseph?
Yeah, and
Okay.
I was upset. And I told him, you know what, man, I'm so sick of Tasha and Amanda. I said, I tried to be nice to them, and yeah, you know what I mean? And I went over there thinking it was okay. They told me it was okay. Jessica, I don't know if it was Jessica doing it just I'm not trying to say set me up, but to call me over there just knowing it. I don't know if she knew they were going to do that or not, but if not, but anyways, I said I shouldn't even went there anyways, and I was upset, and I told Sabrina, you know,
Okay.
and I kind of threatened Amanda, and I said, you know, she's going to catch a hot one. I said, you know what, man, I swear I feel like...
So it didn't go well?
Yeah.
Okay. We, there's been you know that we've obtained some text messages from your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen all that discovery that's come to you through your attorney yet?
No.
Okay. I'm going to walk you through. These are text messages and when they occurred. And I'm just going to try and get the context of what's going on.
Okay.
Okay? So on the 21st, the day of the barbecue, at 6:51 p.m., you get a text from Jessica that says, "Are you good?"
Yeah, that's what she meant. Are you good? Like, are you okay? Because she knew that
So it's after the fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know the fight has to occur sometime before 6:51 p.m. And then 3 minutes later at 6:54 p.m., you text Jessica, and I'll quote, "Fuck yeah, not sweating shit, love you guys." Do you remember sending that text?
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the fight at that point?
Yes, yeah. Like, I was just, and I even just like, I just forgave Amanda and then for hitting me, and all that. That's why I said, you know what, I'm not even going to sweat anymore. I just said,
Okay.
And that's what I meant by
When
that.
you leave the barbecue after the fight, does Jessica stay there?
Yeah.
Okay, do you see her later that day? That night?
No.
That Sunday? Okay.
Mm-mm.
So the next text is at 7:17 p.m. This is the 21st day of the barbecue. Jessica texts you and says, "When can I meet?" And then you text her at 7:18 p.m. and you say, "Meet what?" Do you remember that?
Yeah. That's what
Does she want to meet with you?
Yeah, I think that's why I said meet what, because I was upset. Why? I mean.
Okay. Then at 7:18, you text Jessica, "Who's this?" Were you confused at that time, or do you remember?
Yeah.
Do you remember this conversation? Text conversation?
Kinda, yeah. I was just like I said, I was still stirred up over them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm trying to.
And then
not-
she texts back to you, Jessica. So do you remember being confused on who was texting you?
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Tasha or
Okay.
Amanda or Jessica, and I was just so angry at the time. I was just
Okay, so
trying to
you're still
figure-
upset over the fight. Okay. And then you text to her, "Meet what?" Do you think they're trying to set you up or bring you back, or what's going on in this?
That's what
Give me
I
the context of this.
that's what I
this
said. Meet what?
conversation.
That's what I said. Meet what?
Okay. And then at 7:23 p.m., shortly thereafter, Jessica texts you, quote, "Don't act like that with me. Call me now." Do you know why Jessica wanted you to call?
Because I didn't want to answer her. I was mad at her for even calling me there.
Okay.
Because I felt like she called me there for them to do that to me.
And then 3 minutes later at 7:26, you text, "Not home."
Yeah, I'm not home. She thought I went back to the apartment, but like I said, I went to my
Okay.
brother's, went to Sabrina's.
So on the 21st, if we're correct, she's already living at the apartment. Okay. At the apartment 808.
That's what she
Okay.
says, I think.
And then you have at 7:26, she's like, "Really?" 7:26, "Call me." 7:30, "Just call me."
And I didn't
Do you
want
know-
to.
Okay, so you just
I
didn't
wanted
want
to
to
calm
call.
down. I didn't want to say nothing mean. I didn't want to be rude. I didn't want to say something that I was going to, you know what I mean?
Okay. Then there's a break from about 7:30 p.m. where she says, "Just call me," to 9:54 p.m. And text to you from Jessica and quote, "Really like that? You're just going to let me down? You know I don't have anywhere to go."
Yeah, and
What's that mean?
That means I already had picked up Michelle, and I remember telling Michelle about this too. I said, you know what, I'm not, look at my eye. I said, and she goes, what happened? And after I picked her, and I said, just called me over to the barbecue, and I didn't want to go, and Tasha and him, and
Okay.
I explained it to her. Like I
So by
explained it
this
to her.
text at 9:54, you picked up Michelle. Where are you?
At the apartment.
So you're back home at the apartment 808. Okay.
And I didn't want to pick Jessica up. I didn't want to talk to her. I didn't want nothing to do with her at that time because I was upset.
Okay. Then at 10:01, there's a text, quote, from Jessica to you, don't sweat the small shit. Do you know where Jessica was at this point?
I think she was still at Amanda's.
Okay. Okay. Now we're going to ease into, it's still late night, but now we're going to be moving into early Monday morning, the 22nd. So at 12:15 a.m., just past midnight, a text to Jessica, hey, we are going to bed, good night, LOL. Okay. Do you remember where you were when you sent that?
I was at the apartment.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you say we're going to bed, who are you referring to?
Me and Michelle.
Okay. Was Michelle's children, Victoria and Matthew, there at that time? Do you remember? This would have been after the barbecue, after the fight, all these texts.
Yeah, they were because I remember Victoria said, "Yeah, Fabian, are you okay?" And she was trying to clean me. She goes, "Let me clean." I was like, "No, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm tough." She goes, and she was all worried about my poor thing. She was trying to take care of me.
Okay. So you remember both the kids there when you get home. Okay. Do you remember how the kids get there? Because Michelle would have been at work till, we believe, 9 p.m.?
Michelle went and picked him up.
Okay. Are you all right? I see you got some tears in your eyes now.
Just because I remember when Victoria was trying to help me clean my eye.
Okay, so want a tissue? So Victoria was trying to help clean up your injury to your eye?
She felt bad for me.
That's okay. She did what?
She felt bad for me.
Okay. So she saw you were hurt. Okay.
Me and her, we had a good bond. You know what I mean? Even though we had a good bond, me and her.
You had a good bond? Okay.
Even though a little bit of time that I knew her.
Okay. Okay. All right, go ahead and get yourself together. Take a couple seconds.
Water, Lynn?
Have some water.
I got some.
It's okay. We'll take our time going through this, okay?
You'll take a break for a couple seconds.
Yeah, let's say it's 10:39. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Okay, we are back on now. It's 10:43 hours after taking a break. It's the same folks in the room. Again, I'm Rich Lewis, and we're here interviewing Fabian Gonzales. Okay, Fabian, let me kind of go back. We're going back to the night we were going through the text, and this is the night after the barbecue where you were in a fight with Amanda. And you're back inside apartment 808, correct? Mm-hmm. And if I'm correct, it's going to be you, Michelle, Victoria, and Matthew were in 808 that night.
Yes.
And you were telling me that Victoria's helping clean you up and tend your wounds.
Yeah.
That's when you kind of got a little emotional, okay? There's a text at 12:15 a.m. So now we are into Monday morning, but it's essentially Sunday night into Monday morning. That's when you text Jessica and said, hey, we are all going to bed, good night, LOL. Okay. Any clue where Jessica was at that point when you sent that text out?
No, and I didn't ask.
Okay.
I thought maybe she stayed in there at Amanda's.
Okay. She responds at 10:22 a.m. to you, Kay, I'm going to Martens. Who is Martine?
I think that's now that rings a bell in my head. I think that's pineapple.
Okay. So Martine is pineapple. So the guy we looked at, the photograph that I marked number 7 is Martine.
Yeah, I was trying to remember it like this whole time, and now that we came across that, that's yeah.
Okay. And then that's at 12:22 a.m., early Monday morning. A minute later, at 12:23 a.m., you text her and she just said, okay, bye. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then a minute later, at 12:24 a.m., Jessica texts you, I'm waiting for the twins. They are bullshitting. Who are the twins?
I guess she had mentioned that those are her friends that she met from the prisoners.
Twins? Met from prison?
Yeah, or she knew them from, I guess, from accomplices to prisons. That's from
From accomplices in prison?
Yeah, from her friends in prison that knew them. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Okay.
that.
Did she tell you these twins, are they male?
They were girls. She
They're
said.
girls, okay. Okay. Do you know what she means by "I'm waiting for the twins and they're bullshitting"? Do you know what that meant when she texted that to you? Do you remember getting that text? Is this refreshing your memory?
I don't know. Did I say anything after that?
Not till the next morning.
Then I must have not have seen that till the next morning. I don't know what I said the next
Okay.
morning.
So it doesn't. So then, now we're Monday morning, the 22nd at 7:43 a.m. Jessica texts you, "Are you awake?" Then at 8:57 a.m. Monday, "Will you please call me?" And then at 9:21 a.m., Jessica sends you 2 question marks. And then at 10:45 a.m., again, we're on Monday the 22nd, Jessica texts you, "Fabian, can you give me a ride? I'll give you money." Then 11:18 a.m., Jessica texts WTF, which I assume means what the fuck.
Yeah.
Then at 11:21 a.m., again, we're on Monday the 22nd, Jessica texts you, "So you know we had a deal with me staying there, and you have all my shit. I can't believe that you can, I can't believe that you can be like you are."
I was upset, man. I didn't.
Okay, do you remember getting these texts?
Yeah, because I remember waking up around 9 and then I seen that and I just didn't. I was like, I didn't want to have.
Okay, you didn't want to deal with it, just ignored it. 11:25 a.m., again, this is the 22nd on Monday. Jessica says, I'm so hurt. You are fucked up. I need clothes. You have everything I own. I promise you I am going to be fucked. Thanks for doing more damage to my life. Do you remember all that stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking, how am I doing damage to her life?
Okay, so this is refreshing.
Just trying to help her and just trying to.
11:26, you finally respond, "I just woke up."
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then at 11:28, 2 minutes later, again, this is the Monday the 22nd, you text, or she texts to you, "I'm so hurt. I got you. Please come get me. I got," and she has a symbol for money. "Money for you. I started my period. I'm stuck at Martens." Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, that's the place where I think it was Olga. The road was called Olga.
Olga?
Olga. O-L-G-A. Olga.
O-L-G-A.
Yeah, and she told me to pick her up from there, and I didn't want to, but I think I gave in.
Okay. So you go eventually after these texts, now we're almost at noon on Monday the 22nd. Does Michelle work that day, Monday the 22nd?
Yeah, she does.
Okay.
I think she does.
So is it the same hours, the 1 to 9
Yep.
p.m.? So you're only an hour away when the end of these texts end an hour and a half. They end about 11:28 in the morning. So you're about an hour and a half away from Michelle going to work. Okay. Do you remember when you picked up Jessica? How do you pick up Jessica? Whose vehicle do you use?
Michelle's me and Michelle.
Okay, so you and Michelle go get her. So it has to be before she goes to work at 1 p.m. Okay.
And the kids are at school.
And the kids are at school. Okay, so that morning the kids had gone to school. How do the kids get to school?
Bus.
By the bus. Okay. Who takes them to the bus stop that morning?
Michelle.
22nd. Okay. Is there anybody else that morning when the kids go to school on the 22nd? Anybody else there besides you, Michelle, and the 2 children?
No.
Victoria and Matthew. Okay. So they go off to school that morning. So these texts mostly from Jessica to you are occurring while the kids have already gone to school, most of them? Okay. So you and Michelle go pick up Jessica after all these texts, but before Michelle goes to work. And you're driving Michelle's vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're trying to pick her up before it's too late to drop. And I think I told her we got to hurry because Michelle has work.
Okay. Where was Jessica when you picked her up? What part of town?
On Olga Street, I think at Martin's house.
Okay. What part of Albuquerque?
Off of Eubank.
Okay. So it's
In that kind of by Chico Street by the Walmart.
okay. So
By
it's,
Twisters, I remember the Twisters.
So it's a ways away from the apartment.
Yeah.
Far side of town. Okay. So on the east side of Albuquerque.
Yeah.
Let me show you 2 photographs. I've marked number 3 and number 4. Let me know if you recognize this residence.
Martine's house.
That's Martine's house.
That's the house she said she stayed at.
Okay, is that where you picked up Jessica sometime after these texts on the day of the 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. Who's at that house in 3 and 4 when you get there, when you and Michelle get there to pick her up?
Jessica's standing outside right here.
Okay, you're indicating right here on the front,
Yeah.
the driveway area by the gate?
Yeah, and we're driving this way.
Okay, so you come from the north to the south.
And we're going this way, and we're driving, and she's all, "You'll see me standing outside," and then that's when we see her standing.
Okay. Is anybody else there?
I don't think so. I just seen Jessica.
Do you have any contact with Martine at that point?
No, but I think I seen a trailer,
What do you mean like a trailer?
like not a trailer, but something that you load like a car on, and a newer car. I think it was a Mercury.
Was it in the driveway?
Yeah, a Mercury Mariner, I think.
Okay. Okay. So when you pick Jessica
Like
up,
gold.
I'm sorry, go
It
ahead.
was gold, I think.
Okay. When you pick Jessica up here at Martine's house, the house that we've marked, or that I've marked number 3 and 4, where do you go next?
We go to the apartment.
Okay. Okay. And what do you do when you get to the apartment? Is all 3 of you go back to the apartment?
Yeah.
Okay.
We all three go back to the apartment, and then Jessica's just like saying she don't feel good, and I was like, well, go to bed, you know. If you don't feel good, go to bed. You know what I mean? Take a shower, like you said. You know, freshen up, get, you know what I mean. If you had a bad night or whatever, I don't know.
Okay. Does Michelle goes to work, correct?
Yeah.
How does Michelle get to work that day, the 22nd?
I would take her to work.
Okay. Does Jessica go with you when you take her to work? Or does she stay at the
She
apartment?
stayed at the apartment.
Okay. So when you come back after dropping off Michelle at work, it has to be somewhere after 1 p.m., is that correct? So let's start what happens after 1 p.m. when you come back. What's Jessica doing? And how is she acting?
She was like, she was watching TV. She was watching TV and on her phone, and just looked like she was delirious and upset. And she was just like, I don't know. Since you're being, I don't know if I think I'm gonna go back to my mom's, and since you're being mean, and I was like, well, it's fine, you know. I mean, I don't mind, you know what I mean.
When you said she was delirious, what does that mean? Explain that to me, please.
Just like she looked tired, and she just needed to go to bed, and
Okay.
like I told her, you know, just go to bed, you know, go to sleep, but you know what I mean.
Did Jessica tell you what she was doing at Martine's?
She said she stayed up all night.
Did she say Martine was there with her all night?
Yeah, and they're playing in his game room,
Okay.
and they were doing, I guess she said she shot up, or
So Jessica told you she shot up?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I think she, with the syringe.
Okay, what would she shoot up? Did she tell you what she shot up?
No, but I'm pretty sure it was meth, because that's what she messes with.
Okay, so she uses meth, you know her to use meth. Do you think she had been using drugs before this?
I didn't see her, and I don't.
Okay. Was she acting differently after you picked her up?
That night, remember when Pineapple first came?
Mm-hmm.
That's when I think she started doing drugs, like
Why do you think
secretly? Because that's when she started like just thinking this guy's sinner was out to get her, and that maybe I'm trying to like be meaner and set her up in some weird way and be meaner. I'm like, Jessica, no, I'm trying to help you. And so I said, I hardly even know Michelle. You know what I mean? And we're trying to help you. And you know
So
what I mean?
Jessica is talking about this guy named Sinner,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere even back here,
Yeah, and then that's when she.
earlier before. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who Sinner is?
I guess that's her boyfriend.
Okay.
That used to be her boyfriend, or
Okay.
still was, or whatever. I don't
Have you ever met this Sinner?
know.
Okay. Okay.
I just know that I seen him when I went to prison in Santa Rosa. He was in my pod housing A1, but I knew that was the guy that Jessica had dated, but I never seen him before. That was the first time I seen him in
Okay,
prison.
so you never saw him in the streets?
No, but I heard about him, and I was like, that's not that. And I was like,
What did you hear about him?
well, then that's what Jessica told me. This is why she was thinking he's out to get her, because she had told me something to this nature. She said, I think he's out to get me because he thinks that I'm going to say something, or he's going to find out about what me and him did a long time ago on Foothill when we burned that guy in his green Lincoln for drugs.
Okay, we'll talk about that here in a second.
And it was right by the ditch or something, she said, and she kind of explained it.
We'll
I
talk
don't know
about
if that was
here
true
in
or
a
not, I don't know, she was just tripping out and just going up with her own little conclusions or whatever.
Okay. Was Jessica acting different on the 22nd when you picked her up from Martine's house, the house that we've got marked in number 3, photograph 3 and 4? Was
Yeah.
she acting different than she was?
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How was she acting
It's
different?
like she thought someone was like out to get her. She's
So
like,
she's acting paranoid?
yeah, and like saying, "Do you think do you feel like someone's out to kill you?" Or I said, no.
Has she been saying things like that
Yeah, ever since that. Yeah,
ever since when?
that when she came back.
Okay.
After the fight, and she came back from that guy's house.
Okay, and the guy, do you mean Martine?
Martin, yeah.
Okay, so when she comes back from Martine's, that's when she starts talking this paranoia talk?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Saying that they're gonna, someone's gonna get her, or they're gonna, or someone thinks. I was like, I don't. To me, it was like I was
Do you think
trying
she-
to ignore it, but
Do you
then
think she's under the influence at that point?
that's.
Do you think she's,
I think
the
she's
word
just,
everybody uses is tweaking.
Yes, I think she's just
What does tweaking mean to you?
tweaking. Tweaking. I'm thinking maybe staying on the phone, doing something like, you know what I mean?
I'm sorry?
Doing something excessively, maybe.
Okay. It's, we've had a lot of people tweaking means that you're high on meth and you're talking
Yeah.
paranoia and crazy stuff. Is that what it means to you, or have I got that wrong?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I think that's, yeah.
Is that how Jessica's acting?
Mhm.
You're kind of talking, she's talking
Talking about stuff that I'm like,
paranoia and stuff?
and I've never ever heard her, of all the years I've known her, ever talk like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So
And I
this
know
is-
I've been around her a couple of times in the past, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But never seen her like be around and act like that, you know what I mean?
Okay. How long does the afternoon, this is going to be after 1 p.m. on the 22nd of August. How long do you stay there that whole afternoon with her?
With the afternoon after I picked
This
her
is,
up.
so you've dropped, this is Monday the 22nd. You've already dropped Michelle off
You know.
at work.
Okay, yes, and no, so I stay there and I'm laying down and I'm just like, you know what I mean? And she's not laying down, she's just saying weird stuff and this and that. And then she goes, well, you think you can give me a ride? And this, I'm like, here we go. I was like, I thought, first of all, I didn't even want to pick you up, I said.
Okay.
I said, second, then now all of a sudden you don't even want to rest, you can get arrested, you calm your nerve, get that out of your head.
Slow down, slow down. You're going too fast.
Get it out of your head or whatever you're thinking, because I don't think that's happening. I don't think no one's out to kill you. I mean, I don't think nothing like that's happening. I don't know why you're gonna say that.
So she's telling you that she's up all night long with Martine, and now you're seeing she's not going to sleep in the afternoon on the 22nd.
When she said she was tired and she didn't feel good,
Okay. Did she tell you where she wanted to ride to?
she said she wanted to ride there somewhere, in Gun Club somewhere
Okay.
in Valley Gardens.
Did she say who she's going to go see, or what she wanted to do?
It was a girl, and she said she wanted to go, I guess, get some clothes.
Get some clothes from a girl.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you eventually take her?
Yeah, I took her and I said, well, she goes, I'm gonna go get some clothes and some money from her. I was like, okay.
Okay. And it was somewhere in you said Gun Club?
Gun Club, the Valley Gardens area.
Do you know the woman's name that you met with?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean,
Did you eventually go over there?
yeah.
Okay. And how did you, when I say they, are you and Jessica went there?
Yep.
How did you get there?
Michelle's car.
Okay. And so who drove, you or Jessica?
Me.
Okay. How was Jessica acting while you drove over there?
She was texting on the phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was she saying anything to you, or
No, she just said,
kind of texting?
I'm gonna go over there and they're gonna give me some money and I'm gonna get some clothes so I can have some more clothes because I just got out and I don't have that much clothes.
Okay. Do you remember about what time that was on the 22nd?
Let's say around 4 maybe? Around 4 or 5?
4 in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the
Yeah.
afternoon? Okay. How long are you at this place over in Valley Gardens or Gun Club?
Let's say maybe like 30 minutes at the max.
Okay.
She had me get down and this and that. I was like, well, what are you doing? What are you really doing here? I said, and she goes, oh, I'm getting clothes for real. You can even get down and ask. And then she went and talked to these girls at the house that we went to. And then they came into me. She goes, oh yeah, she's just here for some clothes.
Okay.
So we're going to give her
You're
clothes.
telling me you don't seem to believe that. Do you think there was something else going on?
Mhm.
What do you think was going on?
I think she was there something to do with drugs.
Okay. Why do you think that? When you say she, do you mean
Because
Jessica?
I'm like, why is they just going to give her money and clothes?
Okay.
So and then that's when, okay, so then I questioned her about that. I said, well, why would they just, you know what I mean? She goes, well,
So you questioned Jessica?
yeah. I said, why were they just gonna give me money and clothes? She goes, well, I'll give him some drugs for clothes. That's what.
Okay, so Jessica told you that she provided drugs
to them
in
and
return
and
for
some
clothing and
clothes.
money?
For clothing, yeah.
For clothing.
But at first she said that's what she was just going there to get clothes and money from them.
Okay.
But it didn't
Make sense to you?
Yeah, that's what
Okay.
I said. And then she finally told me.
Did you see Jessica get anything?
No, they went to a back room. I stayed in the living room.
Okay,
And
so
then
you actually
her-
went in the house?
Yeah, and her and that other girl went to the other room, and then they came back out with clothes. And then that's when they acted like she was there to get money and clothes, but Jessica told me the real truth after we left. Because I
Okay.
asked her, I was like, what?
Did this other girl give Jessica anything? Clothing or anything?
Clothes, yeah.
Okay. What kind of clothes, do you remember?
A few things, like, some shirts,
Okay.
and maybe a pair of pants.
Okay. Just like regular clothing?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens next?
Then I drove back to the apartment,
Okay.
and then it starts raining, and that's when the window didn't work or nothing because I had taken it out because I was getting ready to fix the window for Michelle.
Window of the apartment's leaking?
Yeah, and that was the whole reason why I started asking her if I could just use the car during the day because I wanted to fix the window for her.
Okay, I'm a little confused. The window in
driver's-
the apartment or the window cars
The
leaking?
driver's side window of the Buick.
Okay, so Michelle's car, the driver's side window is leaking?
No, the regulator didn't work.
The regulator?
Yeah, I didn't put the window up or down.
Oh, so the window just stays down?
Yeah, either it's down or it stayed
You,
up.
you remember after you go to this house in Gun Club or Valley Gardens?
We're driving back
it's
and then
raining?
it starts raining and I was like, oh, I took the window out, you know what I mean?
Okay.
So then I pull over at a bank and then I put the window back on, like inside there. And
Oh, so you had to manually get the window up, you couldn't?
yeah, so
Was it electric or was it?
It's electric,
crank? Okay.
electric.
So it's just not working, driver's side?
Yeah, and I knew it. So and then it started raining and I didn't think it was going to rain. It was raining heavy. So then that's when I just pulled over and then I fixed it and I like wedged a piece of like of something in there.
To keep the window up?
Yeah, to keep it up.
Okay, got it.
And then we went back to the apartment and we
Okay.
stayed there and I just relaxed and Jessica was doing her own thing in the living room on the phone and
How was Jessica acting when you returned to the apartment after it rained?
she kind of was calmed down a little bit more. You know what I mean? She stopped saying all that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then that's when I picked up Michelle. We picked up Michelle.
Okay. You said we did both Jessica and you
Yeah.
go get her that? Okay.
Yeah.
So now we're into, if we're on Monday the 22nd, and if it's the same work hours, you're picking Michelle up around
Yep, 9.
9 p.m.
It was.
You and Jessica go pick her up. Which car do you use?
Michelle's?
Michelle's car. And where do you go after you pick up Michelle?
After, back to the apartment.
Back to the apartment. Okay. Walk me through. So now it's 9 o'clock. Who's at the apartment at 9 o'clock?
No, she drops us off and then she goes and gets their kids.
Okay. So you and Jessica stay at the apartment, and Michelle goes and picks up Victoria and Matthew?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know where Victoria and Matthew were at that time?
The grandparents.
With the grandparents. Okay.
Because I think they lived up the street. They didn't live too far.
Okay. Does Michelle bring both the children back to the apartment? Okay. What happens after the kids come back to the apartment?
We just stayed, you know what I mean? They watched TV. We stayed in our room, watched TV, and just went to bed. It was like, and Jessica stayed in the living room. She didn't, and we even told her you could stay in Matthew's room now because Michelle said, I told Matthew to stay with Victoria in her room now. There's that room cleaned out for you. So she had her stuff kind of in Matthew's room already now.
Okay.
And she didn't stay in there. She stayed in the living room.
Okay.
And I thought she was going to stay in there, but she didn't.
Okay. This is Monday night
Yeah.
too. So where do you sleep Monday night?
The master bedroom.
Okay.
Michelle's.
With Michelle. Do you think now Jessica's moved into Matthew's room?
Yeah, well, yeah, she has her stuff in there ready to start
Okay.
staying in there.
Do you know where she sleeps that night, Monday night?
I think she slept on the couch. I don't think she ever went and slept in.
Okay, but her things are in Matthew's room, but you think she slept on the couch
Yeah,
that night?
because when I woke up that morning, us and the kids and Michelle, I seen the pillow and the blankets on the
And that's the following morning into Tuesday the 23rd?
Yes, and that's when Michelle wakes up and Michelle and everything's good. You know what I mean? And Michelle makes cupcakes for Victoria's birthday and stuff like that.
Okay.
And
We're
then
starting
she
to move into, this is going to get a little more detailed.
Yeah.
It might be a good time before we get into that to do lunch. What do you think? It's 11. Because once we get into this, I think it's going to get a little more detailed.
Okay, sounds like we did.
Why don't we get lunch? We'll take a break. I think we'll do it off the record. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and break now. It is 11:06 a.m. We're gonna go ahead and break and we're gonna get lunch and we'll come back and start up. Okay.